I've always said, listen, college football is king of the world.
In 2022, then high school sensation Nico Iamaleava made headlines when he signed a multi-million-dollar deal to play quarterback for the University of Tennessee. But last week, the school announced that he is leaving the university over a contract dispute. You heard that right? A contract dispute involving a college athlete. The announcement has sent shockwaves through the college football world. It leaves even more questions about how college athletes are paid. Richard Johnson covers college football for CBS Sports. He's been following all of this and joins us now. Welcome.
It's great to be here.
Great to have you. Okay, so just give us the main details here. Like, what exactly was at issue between the university and Iamaleava?
Yeah, the quickest way to say it is that Iamaleava went back to Tennessee, I think, multiple times asking for a raise. And pretty much what's at issue here is that Iamaleava's camp wanted a number that's a little bit closer to $4 million. And I think Tennessee was quite comfortable with a number that's closer to what he's making now, which is a little bit closer to $2 million. So there was a gulf. And there were also repeated approaches, as I understand it, from Iamaleava's camp to get a raise on his deal. And basically things came to a head a few days before the spring game after a couple months of apparently this back and forth.
And why is this decision of Iamaleava to walk this late in the game, so to speak, why is this causing so much upheaval in the college football world right now?
Yeah, well, it's a pretty big deal. I mean, Tennessee's a good team. They went to the college football playoff last year. They lost in the first round, but they did make it. Iamaleava's first year as a starter was 2024. One thing of note is he wasn't actually that good for them. He was a very highly touted recruit and a highly touted prospect, but his first year as a starter, he didn't really light the world on fire. They kind of made it to the college football playoff in spite of him.
Okay, so maybe not the best player, but there was so much drama around this contract negotiation. Do you expect more failed negotiations like this to happen in college sports? I mean, how do you think schools will navigate this in the future?
Yeah, the issue inherent here is that it's a contract. There's something on paper, certainly, that tied him to Tennessee's third-party collective. But the issue is there aren't even base-level parameters like when you can negotiate. Like with an NFL contract, the NFL has had a collective bargaining agreement since 1968. There is a firm window when you can negotiate, for instance, with a free agent, or when you become a free agent, for instance. College football, college sports does not have that. So effectively what you have is, sure, I've got a piece of paper that is binding me to you, but it's a perpetual negotiation for a lot of these high-level athletes. A lot of these high-level athletes, their handlers, their parents, in Iamaleava's case, his dad, is going behind Tennessee's back and kind of shopping him around a little bit to try to see what the best price is. Now, maybe it's because he really wanted to leave, or maybe it was just a leverage play.
Well, then what is next for Iamaleava? Like, will he just go to another college team at this point? Or can he? How much leverage does he have?
Well, he's in the transfer portal, so he will find a home. He's talented enough to find a home. Now, I'm not sure that the home he finds will be a top 10 or a top 15 school, top 15 college football program. And I'm not sure that the home he finds will even be at the price that Tennessee was paying him per year. But he'll land somewhere just because he does have talent. He's got skills.
Well, we will have to watch the saga unfold. Richard Johnson covers college football for CBS Sports. Thank you so much, Richard.
Thank you.
The federal income tax deadline is here, April 15th, and while the IRS has already received a majority of federal income tax returns, typically filed by tax day, millions more are expected to file before the day is over. I want to bring in Scripps News Group's Joe St. George with us now. Joe, good morning. I want to talk about this a little bit more. Can you explain if the IRS cuts have any impact on refunds so far, and why the IRS is not expected to bring in as much money this year?
Well, you're raising important questions, Aaron, because IRS employees have experienced a lot in the first let's call it 4 months of the Trump administration. Thousands of employees have either been terminated because they were on probation. Others have taken buyout offers. The downsizing at the IRS was a priority of the Trump administration, Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency. Not to mention that they've had 3 acting directors since January. You had Biden's director, you had one Trump director, another Trump acting director just resigned. So there's been a lot of internal turmoil. That being said, I know everyone wants to know if you're entitled to a refund check. Are you going to get your money anytime soon, right? That's what everyone cares about. Tax officials said despite all of that, they haven't noticed any dramatic or significant increase in wait times for your refund check. Now, there's always a little bit of a lag time, right? You file your taxes, you're entitled to a refund. It may take a couple weeks. That's normal. So no measurable impact. At least that's the good news. Some of the bad news here is that the Washington Post was the first to report that tax revenue is expected to be down this year. Now, you might not particularly care about this, and I'll explain why this matters in a second. Because of fewer employees, because of fewer audits, they're expected to just bring in less money. Remember, the big story in immigration, tax-related world in last week was data sharing between the IRS and Department of Homeland Security regarding possible deportations. The expectation is that fewer undocumented immigrants will file taxes. Remember, even though many undocumented immigrants don't get all the benefits of filing taxes, they still have filed taxes traditionally in this country. That's expected to be down, perhaps to the tune of $500 billion when it's all said and done. That obviously impacts what President Trump can spend down the line. It impacts our national debt. So a mixed bag of good news, bad news here. Again, less revenue expected to be generated by the IRS here in 2025, although no measurable delays in those valuable refund checks, Aaron.
Joe, before I let you go, have you filed your taxes yet? I got to put you on the spot.
I have. Yes, I better have, right? We only got a few hours left.
I'm saying, how do you think Elon Musk really feels?
Since President Trump re-entered the Oval Office, billionaire Elon Musk and his DOGE team have been sweeping through federal agencies, accessing sensitive data as part of the effort to scale back the size of government. We're getting new information about the scope of that access at one independent federal agency. That's the National Labor Relations Board, which protects workers' rights to organize and investigates unfair labor practices. A whistleblower complaint filed by an IT staffer at the NLRB claims that DOGE gained access to closely guarded data, including case files, and that could have led directly to a, quote, significant cybersecurity breach. That whistleblower, Daniel Baroulis, joins me now along with his lawyer, Andrew Buckeye. Welcome to you both. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having us.
So, Daniel, let's just start with you. You had been at the agency for about under a year or so. It was about early March when the DOGE team arrived at the headquarters. When and how did you notice that something wasn't right, something was going on?
Sure. I was doing metrics review, kind of looking around, trying to do optimization of our own, because we're always trying to save money. And we were identifying different things, and we noticed something that was off. Me and a couple of different people noticed different points, but it kind of added up to a bigger picture. They're called indicators of compromise in the private sector. And so when I noticed these indicators, red flags went off in my head, and I said, something's up here. So I investigated farther at that point.
And what did you find as you investigated further? What was happening to the data that you saw?
Sure. At first, I didn't have a good picture, so I started to try to rule out possibilities of what benign could have caused these large exfiltration of data, could cause these large spikes of internal transfers.
Exfiltration of data, to be clear,
Sure.
You saw a large amount of data being moved out of the NLRB system. Is that right?
That's correct, leaving a network interface that faces towards the public internet, something that would only occur if you were to transfer a file outside of our secure system.
And that caught your attention. Why? I'm assuming that kind of thing doesn't usually happen?
It was very abnormal. There's a 200 or 300% increase in that time period as to what normal baseline is. So that's definitely unusual and warranted more investigation.
And in the affidavit, you say that you detected the removal of 10 gigabytes worth of data. Do you have any idea what kind of data we're talking about? Why this would cause concern?
Sure. So what that data spike correlated with was data that was transferred off of an internal record-keeping device that was only used for internal case data. So this system only has the private information about union organizers, the privileged business proprietary technologies, competitors, those kind of things are in that system only. There's no other data, there's nothing else except that. So that correlated data spike lined up at the exact time window and the same amount. And so that's what we can determine was taken, was data out of that system particularly.
So, Andrew, the White House responded to our request with a statement about this, and they said, quote, it's months-old news that President Trump signed an executive order to hire DOJ employees at agencies and coordinate data sharing. Their highly qualified team has been extremely public and transparent in its efforts to eliminate waste, fraud, and abuse across the executive branch, including the NLRB. So, Andrew, they're arguing this is all part of their work that they're doing to cut waste, fraud, and abuse.
If the administration is taking the position that having data exfiltrated out of the United States government and potentially into other nation states, if that's about efficiency and effectiveness for the nation, it doesn't make any sense. Within 15 minutes of DOJ engineers creating accounts, usernames and passwords within internal systems within DOJ, within 15 minutes of the creation of those accounts, somebody or something from Russia tried to log in with all of the right credentials, meaning they had the right usernames and right passwords. And the question is, how do they get that and why? The second question that I have is that why is it that from what Dan has seen, as well as others, because we have spoken to other individuals who are able to corroborate this, which is that some of the data is also using Starlink as a backdoor. And that's another way to get data out of internal databases within agencies. And Starlink has now direct access where information is likely, and we believe is funneled directly into Russia.
So let me ask you, based on the evidence you've seen, do you have a view about why the DOJ team would have been accessing and exfiltrating, sending out all of this data?
That I don't know. I don't want to speculate as to the why, because there are so many questions that would, subsequent questions that would lead to. Yeah. But that certainly is the questions, why are they doing this? Now, part of it may be there's a component where this could be intentional. There's also a component where this is simply sloppiness. I mean, another thing that we have seen within databases within the government, as Dan will be able to talk about, is that internal databases throughout the government have been opened to the open internet.
Yeah, that's the key. Is these are not just my agency; these are Department of Treasury, these are Department of Energy, Department of Defense. So these are the critical systems that those agencies use that basically turn on the porch light for other foreign nation states to come on in.
And I need to ask you as well, Daniel, because Mr. Musk's own companies have faced complaints at the NLRB. We know he brought just last year a case to federal court, basically arguing that the agency structure was unconstitutional, arguing it shouldn't exist in the first place. Is there any way of knowing if the DOJ team accessed any information related to cases about Elon Musk?
One of the frustrating things about this is there's been roadblocks introduced along the way. One of the things I don't have is access to that level of data. Those logs and records of what was accessed during that time are missing, and just coincidentally missing after the data spike incident. No other period of time is missing except that small window.
Missing from your view? Would you know if other people have access to that?
They were deleted entirely.
You were able to confirm that?
Yes. I had another 8, yes, absolutely.
Another key point to your question is that, the data that was flying out of NLRB was case-related data. It was their internal case management system. So given the fact that, an entire libraries or an entire encyclopedia worth of information has been flying out, is it plausible that would include any of Elon Musk's corporate information? It's very possible.
These are all questions you still have that we don't have answers to.
We don't have answers to that.
Can I ask you, Dan, big picture, was it an easy decision to come forward, to say this publicly, to get a lawyer, to be a whistleblower? Why decide to do that?
It was never a question whether or not to do the right thing. That was always my agenda. But how I did it, or whether or not I did it, honestly, was absolutely a question. It's my safety. That's there's so much at play that I didn't realize too, but I'm standing behind it. I'm putting my name to it, and that's just who I am. You
mentioned your safety. Why do you mention that?
We had an incident. Go ahead.
This is a difficult topic for Tan to discuss, but prior to our filing the whistleblower disclosure this week, last week, somebody went to Dan's home and taped a threatening note, a menacing note on his door with personal information
while he was at work, yeah.
While he was at work, and it also contained photographs of him walking his dog taken by a drone. So
this was on your front door to your home?
Taped straight on, not inconspicuous, just right there in a white envelope.
You can't get any more direct threat than that.
Dan, you said this felt like the right thing to do. What do you want to see happen next?
Just a full investigation. That's all I've wanted, is just somebody to come in and validate, tell me why I'm wrong. Just come in and say, this is because of this. And so far, I've been unable to find that. Looked throughout my agency, tried to go outside of my agency, and that was not successful. I just want somebody to look at the data, look at what's happened, find out. That's it.
Daniel Baroulas, Andrew Buckeye, thank you to you both for being here.
Thank you.
Appreciate you having us on.
Why haven't you learned anything?
Schools have a dilemma. Many are losing federal dollars for programs they consider essential as the Department of Education faces an uncertain future. Nebraska Public Media's Cassidy Arena reports on one program designed to help staff rural schools that is now endangered.
The U.S. has a hard time filling teaching positions. 86% of schools across the country report hiring challenges, says the National Center for Education Statistics. And studies show rural districts have the hardest time holding on to teachers. Nebraska is no exception. Most of its districts are considered rural, and finding teachers to fill those spots can be difficult. Nebraska thought it found a solution last summer with a program called Project Raíces.
I've always said that Project Raíces really gave me my voice.
Esra Alami is originally from Iraq and was raised in Lincoln. The first-generation college student never thought college was for her because of its expense, but she was one of 16 students to receive a full-ride scholarship to the University of Nebraska-Lincoln.
Project Raíces has honestly helped me discover, what is the difference I can make and should make, and how should I do that?
Raíces stands for Re-envisioning Action and Innovation Through Community Collaborations for Equity Across Systems. It's a University of Nebraska-Lincoln program in partnership with Kansas State University, funded by a grant that came at the end of the Biden administration that was supposed to last 3 to 5 years. The universities had to prove the program enhanced equity, and that's where the problem now lies. Project Raíces is among many programs that lost federal grant money due to the Trump administration's rollbacks on initiatives that promote diversity, equity, and inclusion. The Department of Education cut more than $600 million from teacher training programs. Superintendent Matt Farrup of Wakefield Community School District in northeastern Nebraska says while he understands why some people are concerned about diversity programs excluding certain groups, he says Project Raíces was open to anyone who wanted to be a teacher.
This program is not discriminatory. It's not exclusive.
The Wakefield district has fewer than 600 students and has just short of 50 teachers.
It's trying to help us solve a problem that in 3 years will be an unbelievable crisis for every school district.
The crisis, says Dominique House, is that there are not enough teachers in the public education pipeline. She's with the Center for Black Educator Development.
We need more teachers in the policy conversation because right now we have billionaires dictating what's happening to working class families and for children of working class families. That's not okay.
Ted Hamann was a Project Raíces co-leader. He says he was angry when he had to tell students the program funding was ending years earlier than planned, and all money would have to be returned.
I literally have 16 faces I can put in my mind of these are the folks whose prospective teaching futures are in jeopardy.
One of those students is University of Nebraska-Lincoln freshman Ali Wali. He studies secondary education with plans to teach in Lincoln Public Schools starting in 2028. He remembers the day he and the other students found out their program had ended early.
It was almost like a funeral, just the feelings and just the dread and the crying, and we were mourning.
And Wali says the cuts hurt putting teachers in school districts where they know the community.
This is the place I grew up. That's just one of the reasons why I think I would be so good at this job.
Less than a month after the announcement to cut Project Raíces, education groups that work to expand the pool of qualified teachers filed a federal lawsuit against the Department of Education for cutting more than 100 teacher preparation programs across the country. A court ruling allows some of those programs to temporarily remain in place, but their future is still uncertain. And so is the fate of the Department of Education, which is undergoing a dismantling under the Trump administration. When repeated calls were made for comment about Project Raíces, there was only a voicemail response that said the Department of Education's Information Resource Office is temporarily closed. For NPR News, I'm Cassidy Arena in Lincoln, Nebraska.
For years, Sarah Ainama had a poster hanging in her Idaho classroom, a poster that encouraged her sixth grade students to be kind, to be inclusive. Everyone is welcome here, it said, in bright multicolored letters.
It has images of hands of different skin tones underneath it that have little hearts in the palm of their hands.
She got it at a classroom supply store, and it had never drawn any attention until recently.
I just was approached by my principal and vice principal. They told me that they were having to go through the school and have posters that have controversial messages taken down.
When she pressed them on what was controversial,
they told me teachers aren't allowed to have posters that show their personal or political opinions on things. And this was now seen as a personal opinion.
Today, on the State of the First Amendment, the right from which all rights flow, rooting out diversity, equity, and inclusion in public schools. Sarah did not take the poster down for very long.
I just woke up and was like, I just can't stop thinking about it. It's just so wrong. I just felt so gross, feeling complacent in it. And I just came in on a Saturday with my husband and my baby and put it back up. And I emailed my principal to let him know that I had done that.
What did the principal say?
He did come to my classroom and he said that is considered insubordination. After I put it back up, one of our district personnel, our chief academic officer, he told me that political environments ebb and flow, and what might not have been controversial 3 or 6 or 9 months ago can be considered controversial now.
In a statement, the school district confirmed Ainama's recounting of what happened, saying it wasn't the words, but the colors of the letters and the different skin tones of the hands that they, quote, determined to potentially express viewpoints regarding specific identity groups.
When I was told that it doesn't allow for people to express differing opinions, there's only 2 opinions of that poster. You either believe that everyone is welcome here or you don't. I just was so shocked, especially on the basis of skin tone.
Are they still up in your classroom?
Mm-hmm.
And you're still teaching at the school?
Mm-hmm.
Now, she's not the only teacher feeling watched over the hunt for diversity, equity, and inclusion. When we asked you, our readers and listeners, if you felt freer or more silenced in this moment, a teacher from Oregon wrote to us. She was so worried about speaking, she asked to only go by her first initial, E.
Just where I live and where I teach is a really small community, and I'm definitely worried about getting reported.
What she's referring to there is a new portal from the Department of Education called End DEI, where you can report any instances of lessons around diversity, equity, and inclusion. When E first heard about it in the news, she thought it couldn't be real. Then she looked it up.
And I was like, oh my gosh, it literally just says students, parents, teachers, you can report when you see instances. I was like, oh my gosh.
E's mind started racing.
Immediately, I kept thinking about what did I say in class today? What was asked in class today? What could be taken out of context in class today? Who's mad at me right now for changing their seats or something like that? Could someone use this against me for something I've done in the recent past? So I was pretty scared.
Can you describe how that sort of changed your teaching behavior in the classroom?
I mean, the very next day, kids are asking me questions. There are so many times where I just have to tell them I can't answer that question, or I just change the subject, or I think about how I'm going to say it in a way that gives them the information they need, but also in a way that's going to cover my butt.
A year ago, did you feel the same way?
No, I did not. Right now, in our current environment, in our current political place, it's becoming easier and easier for certain people to have the right to free speech and for others to be having theirs shut down. And I think it's just been a big shift as to what's acceptable speech and what is now considered, a DEI report issue.
If we were doing this interview about freedom of speech a year ago, would you have given me your full name?
Yes, I would have.
The Education Department has not responded to our repeated requests for comment on how this portal works or what penalty teachers reported would face. So we reached out to a group that endorsed the NDEI portal, a right-wing advocacy group called Moms for Liberty. It was founded in the midst of the COVID pandemic by moms who felt unheard and shut out by school administrators and school board members over objections to masking policies and school closures. One of its co-founders is Tina Descovich, a Florida mom who says the portal was created to serve a need.
Our parents across the country and people that aren't even members email us things that they find in their school districts, practices, policies that they find concerning, and there really was nowhere to report that.
If you could give me an example of the type of complaint that you think the DEI portal would then handle.
The things that I've seen that I know people have forwarded it on to the DEI portal are lessons where they divide children by race and call, Black children the victims or the oppressed, white children are the oppressors. So that would be something absolutely somebody should fill out in the DEI portal.
An executive order on, quote, radical indoctrination in K-12 schooling to end diversity, equity, and inclusion in public schools makes a similar claim. But we couldn't find examples in public schools of lessons where kids were physically divided by race, as Descovich described. Moms for Liberty pointed to a Florida public arts high school that planned separate meetings for students of color and white students 4 years ago. It later canceled them and apologized. Now, getting rid of DEI is not the only issue driving Moms for Liberty. The group has pushed to ban books largely on racism, discrimination, sexuality, or LGBTQ rights. Members post anti-LGBTQ rhetoric, and at a chapter meeting 3 years ago, a member talked about gunning down a school librarian. All of this is why the Southern Poverty Law Center labeled the group extremist in 2023. Back at the height of the pandemic, it was a charged environment. Parents were shouting down school board members. There was a spike in violent threats against school staff and school board members, like this threat.
You know your home address is on the internet, don't you? That could be a little scary.
Which prompted the National School Board Association to ask the Biden administration to intervene. Moms for Liberty has framed the FBI's investigation of those violent threats against school board members as a politically motivated campaign to silence parents and organizations like theirs. Again, Descovich.
Parents were just showing up, trying to voice their opinions, sometimes, not really that nice to school board members. They were angry about things that were going on with their children, but in no way, shape, or form should they have had the DOJ, the federal government, coming after them.
It's no secret that the Southern Poverty Law Center and other organizations see Moms for Liberty as an extremist organization, as a far-right organization that actually is in opposition to LGBTQ plus and racially inclusive school curriculums, that it advocates for book bans. What do you make of that, and how is that connected to what you were describing?
I and my co-founder both served in a public school board for 4 years. Dedicated my life during that time to that. We believe in the public education system. We believe in America's founding principles and our government. We are not anti-government, but we absolutely have the right guaranteed in the First Amendment to address government officials when we think they are not on the right track.
In just a few years, a lot has changed for Moms for Liberty. With Trump's election, the doors to the White House are open to the group.
Well, thank you very much.
Members were at the signing of executive orders, one for banning transgender athletes from women and girls' sports, another for dismantling the Department of Education.
And it sounds strange, doesn't it? Department of Education, we're going to eliminate it, and everybody knows it's right.
Not only does the right-wing advocacy group feel freer to speak these days, they seem to have the ear of the president.
A lot of these executive orders speak to the struggle that our organization and many other organizations have experienced over the last 4 and 5 years. I hope that government will be much more open. I think people in the administration really want to see changes that will open up the government more, and that's good for all Americans, left, right, Republican, Democrat. I have a lot of hope.
I think there were people who felt like what you were advocating for was dangerous for certain Americans. I'm just wondering in this moment if it's free speech for everyone or just free speech for some.
Well, the Constitution of the United States of America guarantees free speech for everyone. And if anyone in America is being silenced in the way that we were silenced the last several years, they need to do the things that we do. They need to organize. They need to petition their government. We have filed lawsuits, and we've been victorious because the legal system in America does work. It may take time, but it does work. You know, I am willing to stand with someone, anyone, for their right to speak.
But it is the policies her group has advocated for, like the NDEI portal, chilling the speech of some teachers in public schools. Morning Edition invited Education Secretary Linda McMahon or the Vice President J.D. Vance to sit down with us for a conversation about free speech. We have not heard back, and that invitation is still open.
I don't want to cause any problems, Lieutenant. I just want a new partner.
Oh, I understand. Your partner's a racist prick, but you don't want to stir up any bad feelings with him.
Well, he's been on the force for a long time, and
17 years.
And I do have to work here, sir.
So, you don't mind that there's a racist prick on the force. You just don't want him to ride in your car.
If you need me to go on record about this, sir, I will.
That'd be great. Write a full report. Because I'm anxious to understand how an obvious bigot could have gone undetected in this department for 17 years. 11 of which he was under my personal supervision. Which doesn't speak very highly of my managerial skills. But that's not your concern. I can't wait to read it.
Chief of police in the town of McCall says he was racially discriminated against and retaliated against when he asked questions about his treatment on the job. He wants the town he once swore to serve and protect to be held accountable for their actions against him. ABC 15's Tanya Brown first reported the suit and is live tonight outside our Florence studio. Tanya.
Connor, the town of McCall is still without a police force, and tonight they're tackling another major issue, a problem that is, a federal lawsuit. Xavier Williams started the job as McCall Police Chief in November of 2022. I talked with him about being the only certified police officer in town at one point.
We can be where we can at the best time we can, especially with it just being me right now.
By June of 2023, Williams had been let go from the department. He filed a lawsuit last week in federal court on a number of allegations against the town of McCall, including retaliation and racial discrimination. A portion of that suit says that the town's late mayor and council proceeded to harass, micromanage, discipline, and terminate Williams in a manner that discriminated against him based on race and disability, that failed to accommodate Williams under ADA, Americans with Disabilities Act, that retaliated against Williams in response to his complaints about his treatment. Williams also alleges in his lawsuit that police officers of a different race or without an actual or perceived disability were not placed under heightened scrutiny at work, not questioned at their homes while on medical leave, not demoted or terminated without good cause. Williams says town officials harassed him at his home and later demoted him from chief to corporal before firing him altogether. Williams says he would often work more than 15 plus hours a day, but was only paid for 8 hours. He's asking for a jury trial. Live in Florence, Tanya Brown, ABC 15 News.
All right, Tanya, thank you. And we reached out to the mayor of McCall, who wasn't in office when Williams was chief, for a statement on the suits. We'll let you know when we hear back.
Take a moment to get my audio and things together. It said my black brother would work 15-hour days. They pay him for 8. 15-hour day, even who? 15-hour days. They pay him for 8. Man, wow. Black male privilege. Remember, black brothers say, if you are a black dude, black female, and you go get a nigger knocker and a badge, you suit up, boot up, say you gonna be a police officer, get me a badge, get me some handcuffs and go out here and, protect and serve. Say once you do that, you are now classified as white. I get my paycheck. I done work 15 hours. They pay me for 8. And they're all skin folk ain't kinfolk, Whitey. Wait a minute. We didn't even get to, they said they were harassing him at his residence. Like, that's another, like, pause. What do you mean? What? Let's get back to the 15 hours. They pay me for 8. How long does that go on? Like, out of the work week, how many days did you work 15 hours and they paid you half of that? Man, my head hurts. New to that right there is why we have Neutralizing Workplace Racism, Context of White Supremacy, Worthless Negro from Virginia. Gus T. Renegade in for another broadcast, hopefully to share constructive information with non-white people, victims of white supremacy, on what white supremacy racism is and how it works. Today's date, Thursday, April 17, 2025. So I have been told. This is our weekly forum. Deal with mistreatment, abuse, just like that. Call it wage theft. Rampant with the niggers, badge or no, in the workplace. You go in, think you do, especially for that sort of thing, where you think you racked up some OT and all the rest of it, like, you go in, think, man, I really piled it up, man, I put it in, I worked 60 hours the last 2 weeks, and you go get your check and they pay you for 30 hours. Like, wait a minute, I worked 120 hours the last 2 weeks and they paid me for 30 hours. Like, and then they'll take like a month to resolve all that. Oh yeah, we done cheated you out about 90 of your hours, didn't we? Dang, Leroy, we gonna get to it. We gonna get to it. We know where you are. We got your address, Elon. We got all your information. So we get to it. We get to it. Anyway, if you have figured out some things to make sure that this does not happen to you, they don't come and steal all your hours. You don't have to go and wrangle and call and document and everything else. No, I did work 15 hours, not 8. You don't have to do all that. They compensate you accurately every time. You get every penny that you have slaved for. Let us know. How did you pull this off? We would like to learn. See if we can do the same thing. Or any other tips, but the nickels, that's super important. We go through all this for the name calling and abuse and then get the paycheck, and that's not even correct. Like, man, if you have tips on making sure you are not a victim of wage theft or any other tips to help us minimize white supremacy racism in the workplace, the number 605-313-5164. The code 564943 pound. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. Number again, 605-313-5164. The code 564943 pound. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. The email, untiljustice@gmail.com. untiljustice@gmail.com. Let us know if you have been DEI'd on your job. We have folks who have federal employment and or just been stressed, the tariffs and everything else that has caused so much confusion and stress in the area of labor. let us know. Are people coming in and biting their nails and, ooh, what we gonna do? We gonna be fired? And, ooh. Are they coming in, being stressful on your job? Or customers coming in with more anxiety when you have to deal with them at work? Let us know. Let's see. With the reports specifically, we started off, we heard the NCAA, contract dispute with Nico Iamaleava. Hope I'm pronouncing it correctly. I do not watch NCAA sports, but now they've got all the NIL money, millions of dollars for all of these children, some of them right when they come in, if they're good enough, if they're freshmen, you can get all this money and what have you. And so apparently this fellow was, pretty good, and so he felt like he wanted $40 million, and the school, Kentucky, says we think closer to 2, and so you can leave over a contract dispute. Like, wow, new day for college football. I guess for some of these folks, like, you can make enough money that that is pro. One, and I'm making enough money, I don't really have to be in a rush to go to a professional league or whatever else. I can stay here, enjoy my college experience, and make millions of dollars. Whoopee! Hopefully get some financial literacy courses while you're raking in all those millions. But man, that is, I don't know, that is something to ponder, especially if you have any young people that might do sports, hopefully not brain damage football, but I mean, you get endorsement deals if you're good at tennis, soccer, some of the sports where you don't have brain damage, track and field, rowing, I bet. See if you can get one of those sports where you don't have to get brain damage and get you some nickels and a scholarship. Let's see. The segment where they talked about the lack of teachers in the portal. So important for so many reasons. And they said specifically they're cutting funding. This is all a part of the efficiency. And hey, we're getting rid of the Department of Education. Are we going to have enough teachers, rural areas, Nebraska, and other locations like that? Man, why don't we have more teachers in the portal? Places like Nebraska, wherever else. You certainly got pipelines. Oh, it's not in the portal. They don't have enough teachers in the pipeline. That's what they said. Well, you certainly know how to pipeline little folks from kindergarten to the penitentiary. You know how to do that. You get little Leroy outfitted. You see him in first grade and got his little jumpsuit already stitched up. All that ready to roll. By the time you 17, about Carmelo Anthony say, oh yeah, we ready to roll. You and I said this about the firefighters because there's so many different jobs where they said, oh man, we hurting. The bots can't take this over yet. Man, we hurting. We need some people actually to do this. You could have pipelines to get little Leroy and Jamal. Oh, young academic said, I want to teach. I want to, no, get out of here. Privileged black male. Beat it, especially you're not trying to date no white women. Beat it. They could have all kinds of teachers. We don't want that. That's what we want. Teacher, we don't have a future where we don't have enough teachers. Maybe don't have schools. No Department of Education. 60 children in a class. Most of the children not white. Let's see the segment. They were talking about the same thing. Cuts at the IRS. Is this going to impact the checks and folks getting their refunds and such? They said perhaps not. I guess we'll have to see. With regards to the staff, and even within that report where they talked about all these deportations, lots of them non-white people, they said, hey, a lot of these folks, whether they're here legally or not, they did pay taxes. Kicking all that, get out of here, whatever. Nah. That would be another one I point to when I say system of white supremacy racism. It's not about money. If it's, you got non-white people, they're not here raping and looting. If they are actually working and even paying taxes, you got all these no-count deadbeat whites. They don't even pay taxes. They going and doing this and that and all this other to not pay taxes so we don't have to support no public infrastructure. Why are we trying to be booting people out that are paying taxes? Oh, yeah, you got more important priorities. That's what it is. It's not money. It's white supremacy, racism over everything. Anyway, so they talk about tax situation. And I forgot they had that report from just a few years back. You know who the IRS goes after first? Not black and brown, not POCs, not BIPOC. The Negro. And they got a big chunky report too. Just came out within like the last 2 years. Big chunky report. Like the people that the IRS, they come to audit and say you didn't do your taxes right, and you turned in that form after the 15th. You didn't do this right. You didn't pay your business taxes. Got these old cheats, Wesley Snipes and the rest of y'all. The Negro. Let's see. Then they said they talked about Doge 2 times. So they had the whistleblower talking about the release of information. Now, very important for non-white people. We've discussed this before. All of your information is already out there. The great Neely Fuller Jr. said for years, we don't have secrets in the system of white supremacy, and specifically with labor. Man, you ask, they make you have a job on the plantation. So when you go in, you ask for a job, they get all of your information anyway. This is racist man, racist woman. So, and we've had examples where we've had people who dialed in and who have talked about where their different employees, it seemed like they had gone to HR or wherever to go and get their personnel files so they could get your, home address, telephone number, work history, who knows, social security number, all of that identifying information is right there. So there are no secrets. No, I'm not saying being reckless, and that is something to be concerned about in terms of sharing all this data. But I mean, hey, system of white supremacy, white people keep tabs on their niggers. You've been computerized from birth. Let's see. When they got to the second report talking about education, this time talking about teachers feeling as though they are being watched, didn't even want to give their names out and such because they got all these DEI purges and, you can't have that poster up and all the rest of it. When they said that I guess the Moms for Liberty group, when they asked them, well, what's the problem or what are you trying to address? And they said, well, they have lessons in schools where they divide the white students from the non-white students. That's Jane Elliott. Blue eyes, brown eyes, exercise. She made millions of dollars for years and is still rolling. Old and crotchety, still admitted racist Jane Elliott, no less. That's what she's been doing for decades all over the world. We have a little brown eyes people over here, blue eyes people over here, and we can be rude, nasty, and surly. She's kind of rude anyway. Be rude and nasty and surly them all day long. They don't get no snacks, and then I'm nice to the blue-eyed people over here. That's what she's been doing for years. They gonna bar Jane Elliott? She can't go out no more? Can't get no honorariums, any of that? Anyway, they did say within the report that they didn't find no evidence of this, and I've never heard of nothing like that either. In fact, I take that back. The only time I've heard of that, they had separate breakout rooms. That's what they called it at the White Privilege Conference 2010. And where was that? Wisconsin. La Crosse, to be specific. Gus T. in attendance for a whole lame week. But they did have they had breakout rooms for white people and then non-white people. And I groused and complained about that the whole week because I was like, what are the white people talking about? And they could be talking about killing us. They could be talking about lynching us. They could be talking about me, all of the above. We don't know. Let's go in there. We need to go in there. Can't go in there. They might not want to talk even. I said that even more makes me think, are they talking about lynching us? Are they talking about me? Anyway, maybe they don't have that. Maybe they don't do the separate breakout rooms, but they did have that at the White Privilege Conference. Anyway, when they talked to some of the teachers within that report, and they said that they had folks, now this is in Oregon too, and they said they had teachers, and she put this poster on the wall, said all are welcome, and had different skin tones up there. They said, can't have that now. Wait a minute. We got different so-called political environment. Like, everybody might not agree with that. She said, wait a minute. It just says all are welcome. Who disagrees with that? You know. You got to take that down. I'm not going to take it down. I'm going to leave that up. Now, my view, I've said, because I would have to stick to the same thing I always say, no decorations in the workplace. Now, that's going to be a little different for a classroom, because generally, teachers do decorate the classroom, at least many of the classrooms that I have been in, and especially for younger children. For older children, maybe not so much, but generally for younger children, they have lots of toys and posters and decorations and gadgets all over the wall to get their attention, get them excited about being there. They're still children, so there's lots of elements of play to all this too. Man, I would not have I got to sneak my Marcus Garvey poster in or nothing of the sort, especially if I was a black educator. No way. All of the posters and everything is just going to be about books and education. I would see if I could get posters of black people on the wall, not Malcolm X or Marcus Garvey or nothing like that, but just black people, doing calculus, looking through a microscope, that sort of thing, where it's nothing political. They're just whatever. This is a math class. They're doing something math related, Pythagorean theorem, that sort of thing. If we're in English, they're a black person talking about punctuation, whatever. But I would not have anything that could be construed as this is some sort of political message or anything of the sort. I'm not celebrating no holidays. I don't have nothing of Kwanzaa, red, black, and green. None of that. None of that. Obama, none of that. None of that. None of that. I would just assume you're going to get in trouble. And I don't even know, being a teacher in that environment, I'm thinking okay, it's April. This is going to be a difficult month to be a teacher. Now, you had that school shooting in Florida today. Now, especially if these are older students, high school students, oh man. They have that shooting in Florida, and they ask, hey, they had that shooting in Florida. What's some of the history of these school shootings in the United States? Now, am I going to bring up Reb and Dale for a question like that? Let's change the subject matter. So we just keep moving through the month. Now, today is the 17th. Saturday will be the 19th. Hey, Teacher Gus, what everybody talking about the 19th and Oklahoma and all that? What I don't remember, or I don't even know nothing about that. We weren't even born. What all that got to do with U.S. history? They say that's got something to do with January 6th. Is that true? I could bring up the Turner Diaries. Let's change the subject. Now we get to April 20th. Say, hey, they said the Columbine thing happened on the 20th. That's Hitler's birthday. Is that true? They say that's related. Let's change the subject. we got to do it. You ain't going to teach us nothing. They said you're supposed to answer. I don't, and then, did you hear? She said, I have to think. Now, did I move somebody's seat? Did I give somebody a bad grade? And they're going to be vindictive and say, what? That old wench gave me a C on my report? Fix her. Hey, Mom, this old DEI coon, she came in there trying to tell us about Rosa Parks and said that Obama the best president we ever had. Ain't that you got to think about it now. I got to have that in mind, ooh-wee, I hope I ain't got on nobody's bad side. It's hard answering questions. I like answering questions, but it's challenging. Let's change the subject. That's all you ever say is, let's change the subject. Let's change the... Yes. Oh, you can do sometimes. That's all you can do sometimes. Just Let's change. So we'll talk about something more. But isn't it beautiful outside? It's getting all sunny. What y'all got plans for the summer? You gonna do anything cool? You gonna take any field trips? Y'all gonna do? Yeah, that's. Whew, man, we gonna be out of here soon. It's June. Woo, man, if we have any teachers, if you all are, I have no idea how you would, especially if you're a black teacher in a like predominantly white environment, Oregon type of a situation. Yee. Especially you have to teach like history, social studies, government, anything like that. Ugh. Man, it's going to have to be a whole lot of stuff. Well, the text says everything be the text says, and we just leave it at that and then let them, well, you can go ask your parents. You can go ask your parents and, see what they think about it. But the text says, so what do you think? Well, I don't, my opinion is not really an important part of the lesson. Let's change the subject. Change the subject. Let's see. And they pointed out the skin tone specifically. So that's why we didn't have nothing up there about everybody is welcome and God loves everybody. Just stick to the subject matter. Math, science, whatever, English. Just stick to the reading, see? Just stick to the subject matter. The Moms for Liberty, I would love to see a picture of everybody in that group. I strongly suspect it is a whole lot of race soldier white women. That would be my guess. I could be wrong. I said, they ain't gonna have nobody in that their group look like they could be that Lupita Nyong'o's cousin. No, nothing even close. And total lie, like everything about that group just seems like total master deceivers. Lie about these concerns they got, and they messing over our children and dividing the white children and the non-white children. Lied about all of that, and then say, we would support anybody for the ideas of freedom of speech and being allowed to say what they like. That is a lie. Let them children walk in there. We want to do a play about the hate you give. Will you support our right to free speech? I'm with Brother Gus. That is a lame book. we would unite on that one. That is a lame book, which I don't think should be banned, but it is lame. And I don't even think a black person wrote it. But anyway, let's see. And then the teachers who didn't even want to be identified said, right now in our current environment, and our current political place, it's becoming easier and easier for certain people to have the right to free speech and for others to be having theirs shut down. Who are the certain people who can still speak their mind, say what they want, while these others zip it? Apart from, this is the way I hear white supremacy racism talked about all the time. We just can't say, hey, white people can say whatever they want. Facts. If you're non-white, you shh. Can't even say that. And in our current political state, that's one, if this is a non-white educator, they don't want to be identified, right on. But I do not think that that's accurate. Anytime in the system of white supremacy racism, white people can say whatever they want to. Non-white people, anytime. You can go back, Bill Russell talked about that 100 years ago. Down in Louisiana, they lynched a black person. You better not say nothing but shh. Shh. That's always the case. Anywho, already mentioned black brother on the police department in 15 hours, and we're going to pay you for 8. We have talked about before, they have apps where you can track your hours to make sure you can log when you punch in, start your shift, and then when you sign out, calling it a day. So you have all that information. If they have any sort of means where you can get a printout, track your hours and everything, so there's no dispute about it. I would keep all of that, screenshots, keep all those records, because it's just way too common where we have heard non-white people in a variety of fields and even around the world where this type of thing happens. You work 15 hours, they pay you for it. Like I said, especially anything where it's overtime hours. Oh, no. We're not compensated. Oh, no. Or there's some sort of problem. It takes all this time. And that's the one that you want documented. That's one that you definitely want to address in writing. Even if you speak to someone in person, you go down to accounting and, oh, man, Mr. Jones, I worked 60 hours last week and they paid me for 30. Like, what's going on? Oh, man, we're going to get it taken care of. No problem. Just, by Monday, we'll have everything, blah, blah, blah. Go back and immediately write them an email. And it can just be following up per our conversation on April 17. We discussed there was a discrepancy with my paycheck for the pay period of April 17 or whatever. I worked 60 hours as documented here, only got paid for 30 hours per our discussion. This matter should be resolved by the coming week, just making sure that this is accurate and what I can expect. Acknowledge, send, that way they confirm. You have a record, and even if they don't reply, you have a record of that too. But document. If they're being lazy about it and they're going to take weeks in it, document all that too. But widespread, don't be surprised. That's another one to keep your composure. But don't be surprised. There's some sort of, shenanigans. Like, whoa, they didn't pay me $1 and I worked 100 hours last week. Very common under the system of white supremacy racism. Chimp out. I said sometimes white people, they like to do things just to get us upset and, stressed and all the rest of it. There you go. Anywho, let's see. Number again, 605-313-5164. The code 564943 pound. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. Let's see. Email untiljustice@gmail.com. We have lots of emails. See if I'll try and start getting some of those in and nabbing our people who called in as well. I will say again, with all of the, what shall I say, anxiety, stress regarding the workplace and people being fired, you heard some of it in the reports, just chaos, even down to teachers. Like, who knows? Are we going to have a job? And they're slashing Head Start. Like, I could have played a bunch of those just for education where they're saying the same thing. Like, are we going to be able to keep the Head Start program going? And, oh, my goodness, and what's going on? Are we going to be working next year, that next academic school year come September? Will we still have a job? All of that making people so stressed. Like I said, Fuller said, as a genius, you can totally drive people insane just by keeping them confused. You don't have to do anything else. You don't have to drug them and all the rest of them, that which racists do as well. But just keeping people where they cannot grasp what is happening. Can't answer that question. What is going on? When you cannot answer that question, oh man, you can literally lose your mind. And like I said, we just saw this with COVID-19 when that first hit. People out brawling in the streets over a corn dog and all the rest of it. Like, you can totally drive people insane just keeping them under stress and confusion for a long period of time. So be really mindful about this, I guess, with yourself first and foremost. If you are feeling anxious, stressed, find someone to talk to. Take time for self-care. I would certainly say that is a time to be mindful about being around people who do a lot of name calling or toxic, because that will just dramatically escalate things. A time where you don't have as much patience than to be around people who really get on your nerves, as they say. Like, maybe minimize that. Have to be by yourself a little bit more. It's warmer weather now. You can get outside, do some breathing, take some walks, but really be alert about self-care and how all this might be impacting you, people around you. Let's see, we'll get to some of our emails because we have so many of them. Let's see. Email number 1. Let's see. Okay. Up. Had the wrong page up. All right. Let's see. Email number 1. I've been meaning to share for a while, but I've hesitated because thinking and talking about my workplace experience as of late is something that I don't enjoy doing. That is lots of non-white people, for sure. I work for the federal government, and there has been and she has that in all caps, so much chaos and confusion since January 20th. Inauguration Day. Oh, and the federal official holiday for Dr. King this year. Wah, wah, wah. It's hard to process it all, for sure. There are very powerful white people who have decided that they want the public to think of government employees as lazy people who don't want to work. I think this is done so that when we are fired or are subjected to mistreatment, the populace won't have a strong objection. Some people might even think that we deserved it. There is and was a constant worry that the organization that I work for will be deemed unnecessary by Elon Musk's so-called Department of Government Efficiency, affectionately known as DOGE. In 2022, I was required to go into the office 2 days every 2-week pay period. Most of the time, we got to choose the days we went in. On the remaining days, we were allowed to telework. Towards the end of 2023, the amount of in-office days doubled to 4 times per pay period. Even though it was twice as much, it still seemed reasonable. With that said, I have a long commute. It takes me an hour to get to the office on the best day. There have been several occasions where it took me an hour and 45 minutes to get there. So if I have a hard start time, I need to leave 2 hours beforehand. That right there is so common in the system of white supremacy racism, where they will place non-white people in jobs, positions where it's going to be really far. Like over the past 20 years or so, you've had like a reverse where it's been lots of white people migrating back to live right in the city. They want to live right downtown, get their condos and all that so they can, walk to their big office towers and all of that, easily do their business and then walk back home, claim that they're green, and have the niggers be way, way out so that you have an hour drive, sit on the train for an hour, or you sit in traffic and move, do all that for an hour. That can be a whole nother job sometimes. Like she said, if it's, a bad day, like they have an accident, traffic, whatever the case may be, construction on the road, you have to sit and all that. She said for like 2 hours, that's one way. And you have to do 2 hours going back. That could be 4 hours right there. And sometimes they had a big report in the Seattle Times not that long ago. They were talking about the number of non-white people who have commutes like this. Some of their commutes were substantially longer. Like she said, maybe an hour, 2 hour one way. They were talking like 3 hour commute one way. That's like I said, that's a whole job just getting to work and then back home. Not by accident, by design. Let's see. Because of one of Trump's many executive orders, I now have to drive into the office every day that I work. That's at least 2 hours of commute time. Daily, all capital letters. And the vibe at the office is so strained. Our secretary was fired because she was still in her 1-year probationary period. She was fired via email on a Friday in February, but she couldn't even read the email letting her know she had been fired because she had been locked out of her computer first. So tacky. Remember, we had that report last week where they were saying the same thing, that it was people coming in to work, sitting down at their desk, didn't even know that they had been fired. People driving into office and their key fob doesn't work. Oh, you've been fired. That's why it doesn't work. Now beat it. That's sort of just tacky as can be. And see what I said? Stress and confusion. She continues, when I got to work the next Monday, there was a sign posted near the doors we all go through to enter the building. I guess so many people had been fired over the weekend that it was necessary to give ex-employees instructions on how to return their work computers and PIV cards. Maybe a week or two after she was fired, they gave the secretary a 15-minute window of time during which she had to be escorted to enter the building to clear out her belongings and then exit the premises. 15 minutes. Now see, that's what I said right there with the teachers putting those posters up and everything. Oh no. Once again, any non-white person in the known universe, and totally irrelevant if you're competent, you could be the smartest person in that work environment easily. You can be the most experienced, like book learning, on-job task experience, all of that easily. Smartest person about this specific job could be you. So what? You could be fired in the next 5 seconds, and we'll make up a reason. We don't even need it. We'll make up a reason. You're out of here. Beat it. As such, we keep that in mind. I'm not decorating nothing. I'm not even allowing myself to get comfortable in that state of mind that this is my office, my desk. She said, you got to bring that computer back. Oh, no. This is not my computer. I don't even need your tacky 15 minutes to clean out nothing because I don't have nothing here. It may take me 2 minutes. I got my sweater to make sure that I'm warm. I'm going to scan, make sure I ain't left nothing else, but I mean, I don't keep nothing here. I don't have nary a picture on the wall, poster, office plant, nothing. I did think about that. I do love my plants. I might have one office plant, but I even had to think about that. Man, I have known some tacky and trifling white people in the workplace. They have sabotaged and did all of this. It would not surprise me at all because I've worked, I had a candy dish. My colleague stole my candy dish. And, of course, the candy. I got the dish back empty, of course. It would not surprise me at all. I got my plant there that I love, whatever, and, you know, just hanging out, not bothering nobody just because. Oh, Leroy got his little, you know, whatever, cacti, whatever there. Oh, let's throw it in the trash, you know, or poison it, or whatever, steal it, whatever, just because. That's what we do. We don't need no provocation. So I would probably be hedging on the no. Just keep the plants, and that way you don't have to get locked out and they've stolen my plant and all the rest, and I'd be upset about that. Like, nah, no decorations, no decorations, no decorations. Like I said, my sweater, so I can stay warm. They keep the AC on. Some of the young ladies, they might have a sweater there just so they can stay warm in the work environment. But other than that, I don't have nothing to clear. I use this computer as though it's not mine. You have to give me 15 minutes to clear nothing off, erase nothing, transfer nothing, all of that. That's how I use this computer, as though it's not mine. And I might be fired today in the next 5 minutes. That's how I use this computer the whole time. Even if I've been working here for 20 years, it's not my computer, it's not my office, it's not my job. 15 minutes. How trifling. And in 15 minutes, I get on it. A couple of weeks ago, a judge in San Francisco ruled that the way probationary employees were fired was illegal, so they rehired the secretary. And all of that stuff that she had less than 15 minutes to gather, it appears she brought it all back. Are you out of your flipping mind? Are you out? Come on. Come on. Come on. Like, are you serious? For them to turn around next month and say, oh, now we got it legal. You're fired. Now get on out of it. You know we love to do some firing. We got sound effects. And you're fired. Woo! And now you got 15 minutes again. Pack all that junk on up and get on out of here. No. See, that way, nope. That's not even good for my plant. We going back and forth. They like stability, one stable environment, and then just love on me a little bit. Not What? We hear? What's going? What? Come on. Bring all the. Come on. I guess this is understandable. She's probably not a C.O.W.S listener. I don't think so. I will continue to take your advice and leave the area that I've been assigned to work in free from personal items. That's what's up. No plants. That's what's up. No pictures, no nothing, really. And even if you do work there 20 years, let's say that's the case. No firings, Elon Musk says you're valuable and needed. Great. Everybody there is not valuable and needed, so maybe they get mad, blame you on the way out because you still got a job. Why not come by and mess up your plant? Whatever, nope. It's not my space, and I think all of us, when I say we all need that reminder. We cannot get comfortable in the workplace. White people can fire us in the drop of a dime without cause. Can't allow ourselves to, forget that, minimize that at any point in the system of white supremacy racism, because white people love to do that. Have us surprised and bewildered. What? Anywho, I have a few extra pens, pencils, and a box of Kleenex. If and when white people decide I don't work there anymore, I won't need to collect those items. See there? That's the way you do it. You can have my pencils. My good pens, I'm going to get those, but I don't need 15 minutes to get my good pens. The Kleenex, if it's a big box, I'm going to get my Kleenex. But that's another one. I don't need 15 minutes to grab a box of Kleenex and my good pens. That's, 60 seconds. Deuces. That's what I'm talking about for the workplace. But then even that, it can be stressful. But again, that's why we're in a save mode, being real frugal with our spending, save. Because, oh man, white people love that. Man, just caused total disarray and fired out of the blue. Fuller talked about that way back when, off the wall. Fuller talked about that for years. Anyway, email number 1. The address again, untiljustice@gmail.com. untiljustice@gmail.com. The number 605-313-5164. The code 564-943#. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. Not for spectators, especially if we have teachers, if y'all feeling like you're being watched every second, you can't do anything, or other folks, federal employees been impacted by all this, let us know. I will get in second email. Keep an eye out, see if folks who dialed in with us have commentary as well. Let's see. Email number 2. Good evening, Gus. C.O.W.S audience, it's been a while since I've written and called in. I've been extremely busy with work and family life. Multiple reports and witness accounts of racism practiced against non-black people. Going to try to write in to give updates. Here's some of my latest racist encounters. Number 1, a new machine was delivered to the plantation that I work on. Of course, the white worker was the first to operate it that week. Then the following week, I was operating it. The white supervisor came up to me while I was working and said that I got the machine dirty. Racist jokes. Fuller has dirty in the word guide as a word that he recommends that we not use, talking about dirty wars and dirty sex and all the rest of it. Hey, you won't have no plants if you don't have no dirt. Can't get those tomatoes and bok choy if you don't have no dirt. Talking bad about dirt or people that they say look like dirt, non-white people. But and that association, black people with dirt. That, oh, look, Leroy, you done dirtied up the machine and broke it. See, and got your muddy paw prints all over it. Look at you, Leroy. Write that down. See? And keep moving. And not even there's anything wrong with it. If it is, it might even be the white person messed it up using it last week, but always got to be something derogatory directed towards the black person. And that, even that, you could say nothing. Always great because he didn't ask a question, but that is one where you could ask, oh, is the machine dirty? Does it need to be clean? Oh, I'm just playing. You know, Leo, I'm just playing. Oh, okay. Number 2. We were demolishing a building, and the same white supervisor that told me the equipment is now dirty, since I'm operating it, had me remove slabs of concrete and stack them in a specific location next to the concrete dumpster. I stacked the concrete slabs neatly so the concrete could be loaded efficiently when the new dumpster comes. Now there was another person also loading out concrete as well. He was white, and he was dumping the concrete in a pile, which will make it difficult to load out. The white supervisor saw the pile that the white machine operator dumped in a pile and said to me, that is what he calls a ghetto stack. Another racist joke. Now that one right there, I would for sure write down. Now, if I was feeling, probably wouldn't. If I was not in the workplace, I would definitely ask, what do you mean ghetto? The workplace, I'd probably just write that one down. But I mean, whoo, a ghetto stack. It can't even just be, hey, why don't you go tell the white fella, if we all about Doge and efficiency, hey, white brother, did you see the way Leroy laid those slabs out, man? We are about efficiency. Elon come out and tell us about that every day. Put the slabs up correctly. Do you need him to give you some training? Get all this, figured out correctly, but there should be a code about how we stack the concrete. We don't just throw it up there willy-nilly. Come on. No. I just want to come make racist, you got this old nigger pile. Doesn't get any better than tacky. Extra tacky. And the racist jokes, that's it. And I've seen that in a number of work environments where white people, they practice white supremacy racism and they don't hang out with niggers. So they are uncomfortable talking to a nigger. It's like, man, I don't kick it with niggers. I'm normally talking to other racists and talking about racist jokes and how we're not going to fire how we're not going to hire any black people. How we're going to fire these black people or whatever it is. Now I got to sit up here and talk to you. What are we going to talk about? What do you think about them old playoffs? Ain't that maybe something? You would see them Gators? Wow, that's great, wasn't it? They got that old champion. Talk about sports, see? Or some old foolishness, because we've had a whole lot of that, isn't it? Hey, you like that new Drake one? He got another hit, didn't he? See, Kendrick didn't slow him down at all, didn't he? You done dirtied up the machine, didn't you? Got your old just joke. Or they come and they do the old black person, hey, what it do, my black brother? How you get that? See, they do that old nonsense like, I don't really talk to you, niggers. I don't really know, what I'm supposed to say. Like, that's the best you can hope for. Full to say, the best you can hope for is something tacky. Look at it. You got that old ghetto stack over there. just joking. Look like someplace you lived on it. just joke. Write that down. He said, there's more to report, but I'll leave it for now. Much obliged, Gus. Thanks for the platform. Indeed. Email again, untiljustice@gmail.com. We have a number of, this sounds kind of construction to me. Apologies to the victim who dialed in if not, but it sounds kind of construction, right? Oh, he says construction victim. Yeah, it sounds kind of construction, right? There is so much like this. Flagrant. It's not really refined because it's outside, in the dust and everything else. A lot of times it is really crude, unrefined racism in the construction industry. We've had people who died in one. They didn't even hire a lot of niggers in the first place for you to even be using whatever piece of equipment this is, moving concrete or whatever. A lot of times they don't even hire niggers for that sort of work. Then if you do get the job, racist jokes, trying to mess you up in terms, because construction, you talk about code. If you're putting up a skyscraper or whatever, even if it's a single story unit, it's very precise. They have codes about how you put in the wiring and the foundation and all of that. We've had people where they said, black people working on the site, and they're going to say, oh, okay, bolts are right here. And the person will go get an attitude. You dumb nigga. Say, whoa. They say, measure twice, and then you cut it once. You know, you make sure we don't have errors, make sure I got everything, and you seem like you fussing at me for making sure I'm doing things in a correct manner. Yep. That sort of nonsense. And we got in the archives where they would go, they had those portable potties, right? So you can go to the bathroom, racist jokes and swastikas all plastered all over that, where they go and vandalize. Well, I can't even call it vandalizing if it's the people that work there. Decorating, that's what I'll say. They go and decorate and put all the racist paraphernalia all over the bathroom, porta potty and such. We've had people took pictures and sent them to me and all that. Tons of it. So if you're going to be in the construction industry, you for sure got to be prepared for like super extra flagrant racism. No filter, no refinement, just wow. Okay, got it. You definitely going to be called a nigger doing construction work. Like, don't be surprised, stunned. Like, it's just a matter of how many times are you going to be called a nigger if you do construction work. Much obliged. That's email number 2. Many more to come. Let's see. Folks who dialed in with a hand up, Mama C, 00 Dimples, non-Clemson Dad should be with us as well.
Can I be heard?
Yes, sir.
I think I heard a voice.
Oh, yes, sir. We can hear you. Yes, sir.
Oh, cool. All right. Greetings, everyone. Hope everyone is having a wonderful day. First, I'll start by commenting on what's happened at the University of Tennessee. One of our white clients came in for a dance lesson, and he complained about how much money the quarterback was requesting. He said that name, image, likeness, NIL ruined the game. I responded, he'll need all the money he makes to pay for all his medical needs after he retires from football. Next story. At work, the grievance hearing that was supposed to happen at work, I don't think happened, and I wasn't called as a character witness. The fact that the former director's position was listed 2 days before the grievance hearing leads me to believe that she rescinded her grievance and decided to move on. Since she has been let go, she has called me for a little bit of help to get her old computer files so she can build her work portfolio for her next job, which I happily obliged. And also because the position has reopened up, I will definitely be applying, and I imagine my manager and other managers in the department will apply along with people outside of the organization. I've started CDL training. It's been interesting and a little scary. Currently, there are 3 other full-time trainees, and I'm having to do as much as I can because I still have to work my full-time job. I usually am trying to go there around 9 to 12 hours a week, but the trainees work with me to catch me up as much as they can, and they believe I'll be just fine, and that I'm having no work and I have nothing to worry about. The two hard parts were the driver compartment, where the bus operator, drives the bus, and the air brakes. And they said I was getting the necessary terminology correct in a very short amount of time, even though they've been training longer than me. Speaking of education, in the great state of South Carolina, one of the things they're doing to incentivize more people to go into the teaching profession is that if you come from another profession, they will grandfather your experience from your previous profession to boost your pay. Also, the state legislature is once again trying to find a way to use state taxpayer money for private school vouchers, which has already been found unconstitutional by the state Supreme Court. And with that, I'll mute my line.
Much obliged. Non-Clemson Dad. That's the same pattern in taking public tax dollars for those school vouchers. See, eroding public infrastructure. Echo. I just said that. Anyway, much obliged for non-Clemson Dad. Got our correction too. That was the University of Tennessee about the contract dispute the NCAA, not Kentucky, which I said before, University of Tennessee. Got my SEC schools messed up. He said the fella came in to see, they're ruining it. Asking for all that money, they're just ruining it. What about all the billions the NCAA's been getting for all these years? Was that rather? Bill Russell talked about that too. The great, that's 2 times he said that, like, man, talking about all the purity, innocence, college athletics. Like, are you serious? He was saying back then, like, all the millions and billions of dollars that they're raking in for this money and cheating and everything. And like, come on. Hey, man, for CTE, like, facts. And get every nickel you can. Ruining it. Get out of here, man. Whatever. Let's see. I wanted to hear about the grievance. He had told us about that last week, that he was going to be a character witness, but I guess she just, maybe moved on or whatever the case may be. White people have lots of ways of sabotaging those types of resolutions as well. So wishing her the best. He said he's still helping out, accessing some of the items on her computer. That might even be another one. Make sure you can be fired at any time. I'm pretty sure that this young lady, competent, intelligent, I'm sure they didn't hire no, lame black person who dropped out of the 8th grade. But she gets let go, and now she can't access certain information from her computer so she can move forward, get a new job, continue with her career. You don't want that to be you. You can be fired at any time that is not your computer. There should not be any files, information on that machine that if I leave work today, if I can't access that machine on Friday, that information is gone forever. That should not be. If it's anything, this is my information, my data. They have flash drives. You can mail it to yourself, and lots of. It's 2025 at this point, so lots of other means. There should never, ever, ever be any sort of information, file, or what have you. This is mine. I worked on this, whatever the case may be, and I now don't have this information. Not acceptable. Not acceptable. Use that computer as though it's not mine, and white people could come and take this back tomorrow. He helps out with that too, though. Great job. And we got the update, the CDL training, and he even said, we talked about before, don't be coward, right? He applied, tried to get the other position in the workplace, and they wouldn't even give him an interview. Said, oh no, we still trying to get the ideal candidate and all the rest of it, and shut the position back down and all of this. We said, hey, system of white supremacy. Racists will set things up so that we internalize and think that it's something defective, about us. Man, I must have, messed this up, or I didn't do this right, or, man, they must have had some more qualified applicants maybe, or I just don't stack up. I don't know. And no, they're just practicing racism. Stay committed and continue. As long as you're doing something constructive, I'm applying for promotions and that sort of thing that is constructive. Make them practice racism and deny us things that are constructive. Excellent. He said, it looks like they can open the position back up. I'm going to apply again. Brilliant. Brilliant. You apply enough, sometimes they might have to hire you. Like, dang, we didn't even have no nephews or cousins.
Hey, Gus, quick correction. The position that you're referring to right now was at the transit agency. Though they opened that position back up, I'm not applying for that one. I'm applying for my former director's position at my current agency.
Oh, okay. Thank you for the clarification. Either way, grand. Not being bummed about it. Not going to do it. If they open the other one back up, can apply for that too. Maybe he won't need to. Maybe he'll get the old director's position, and that'll be that. Hopefully it'll come with big chunky raise and big office. That's not yours, but still. Big office, all the rest of it. Yeah, hopefully it will work out really, really well. And then, like I said, he's still doing the CDL training, which he'd been telling us about before. Spectacular. Thank you for the update, non-Clemson grad. Best wishes, Cal's listeners. Gus T for the, I guess, new job. You're applying for a new position, director's old job. Hope you get it. Sending out good energy. We'll be sending some prayers up for all that good stuff. Let's see. Other folks, the number 605-313-5164. The code 564943 pound. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. If they do ever hire out that other position, let us know. Let's see. Okay, other folks who dialed in, star 61, if you have commentary to share, if you either have your own situation or comments on things that have been discussed thus far. I did want to share really quick as well. I think it was our caller at the courthouse in Florida last week. He had talked about, it was a black female at work, and she was talking about how some bad things had happened with her son away from work. She was kind of saying this at work, and it seemed like she wanted some of the other folks at work to kind of feel bad or empathize with her about the situation with her child. And I think he said that she even came up and talked to him directly, sharing the same incident and maybe wanting him to sympathize with her. It seemed like it was something related to racism in terms of the abuse that her black child was experiencing. And he said, I didn't really say a whole lot. I consistently have said, you don't want to be talking about racism in the workplace, and equally, you don't want to be talking about all of your problems, strife in the workplace, not out publicly like that. You know, I mean, everyone who has children has difficulties with their children from time to time. I think even Mama C was telling us about having to go and do the vaccines and, double O dimples. Whoa, what's going on here? Like, everybody has, little difficulties and things they have to deal with as an attempted parent. You don't want to be talking about all that out in public in the workplace, especially not from a perspective and thinking that these white people that you work with, or even the non-white people, that they are going to be, oh, that's so sad, that's awful, oh, let me give you a hug, and like, no. Not, and I think he said that the white people, when she was saying all this, they didn't care at all. Like, what? I did, little rapist? I would have called 911 on him too. Now get on out of here. That's about how, they think about it. You too, really. And then he said that she came and spoke to him to say the same thing. We're out in public, in the workplace. I'm not going to be, them crackers did. What to your child? No. Other people are listening to this conversation. Intently, probably. That said, let's get back to work, because it's not really appropriate for the workplace. Like, this is something, if you all do have rapport, let's talk about this later. And then maybe I say that, them crackers did what to your child? I can't believe it. That's not appropriate for the workplace, like, at all, especially not out in public. That's not codified at all. Could lead to some trouble depending on, who hears this. They want to go and gossip about this someplace else. Like, man, do not talk about racism in that manner in the workplace. Just going to cause problems. I can't see anything constructive happening at all. Even if you work with all black people, all non-white people, I still would not be discussing that sort of thing in the workplace, not out in public, none of the above. That is like a private conversation for someone that you have a personal rapport with, not a business relationship. Anywho, and I don't have children. Okay, let's see. Email number 3. At a workplace meeting last week hosted by my non-white black female coworker, our white male supervisor interrupted her to correct a pretty unimportant detail during her presentation. She appeared slightly annoyed, but continued on. This same supervisor has made the mistakes of black females in the organization the topic of a team huddle. Dang. Okay. Was reported during his first month on the job for using the phrase, let's call a spade a spade. Oh, that's one of my favorites. Let's see if that's in the word guide. Is that spade a spade? Let's see. Spade. Space. Spade. Is that? Let me see if it's in let's or call. I'll check quick to see if it's under those two, because this seems like one that might be there. No, maybe. It might not be in here. It might not be in here, or at least it's not in here under spade, which I thought it would be, but it might not be in here. Anyway, that's one of those that, in my opinion, for sure reinforces the system of white supremacy. Mostly, spade was a racist slur for like ever, probably still is, right up there with nigger and coon, spear checker, all the rest of it. And then let's call a spade, like let's call a nigger a nigger. Let's be unrefined about things. There are lots of ways that you can specify. Let's be accurate. Let's not pussyfoot. That's one that I love. No pussyfooting. Listen, make it plain. Minister Malcolm X, one of my favorite documentaries. Make it plain. There's lots of ways that you can say that without having it. Let's call a nigger a nigger. Let's call a spade a spade. Come on. Let's see. I'm surprised that they, I guess, reported him or what have you, because I could see a lot of people being like, what? Spade? What is that? Come on now. You just making a monkey out of it. Come on. Let's see. And he's married to a non-white female from Korea, Cow Bell. I suspect he's practicing racism in his open correction of my coworker, and I'm very careful in my interactions with him. That's one. Especially if you have non-white people who, they're running a meeting, they're leading the presentation, they're in charge of a project. That's got to undermine. That's old non-Clemson dad. It got to undermine. Like, this nigger, valedictorian, come in here and boss us around. Give him an interview. But that's common system of whites. We hear that from so many folks. If it's a non-white person who's supposed to lead or be in charge of something. We had it's a black female. She said the same thing. She was in charge, and the white man came in and just hopped in her chair. I'm going to sit up front like I'm leading the meeting. Like, what? Wait a minute. It's my meeting. Said, oh, right. My fault. Sorry. My fault. Composure. I think he said the black female, when he interrupted her to correct her, who knows? Maybe she said the figure was 10.4%. It's 10.5%. 10.5%. Anyway, moving on with me. That's one of the to be expected. Take a deep breath. Dr. Welsing. William Shockley. Going William Shockley. Dr. Welsing. Okay. And you get back on your grind. But, they love that. It's just tacky and trifling through. And that's what the absolute best you can expect is something tacky and trifling. Much obliged. So we got through email 3. Moving right along. Let's see. Email number 4. Okay. Hi, Gus and Cal's audience. We had an away day a few weeks ago. It was at a hotel, and we were provided with a catered 2-course lunch, so no penny pinching. Another reason why Shawn are reducing my training request is due to expense is so egregious. They had a 2-course lunch. Get out of here. Get me some vegan tiramisu and cut a fool. Take all day long. I sat with Shelly, Zoe, and right-wing Ashley over lunch, which I didn't want to do, but was being a team player. I had to listen to more drivel about their lives and pretend to be interested to avoid them asking me personal questions. Then the racism started. there's a very subtle and refined way to their practice of racism at these types of team get-togethers. And if I was more confused, I would have missed it and not realized the joke is on me. Right-wing Ashley brought up the Netflix series Adolescence, which everyone is talking about. It's not quite up there with Dahmer, but it's close. And this is the show Elon Musk was complaining about a couple of weeks ago because he said that they were making young white boys like Jeff Dahmer and Peyton Gendron and that little white fella who killed his parents and was going to kill the president in Waukesha, Wisconsin. Like that, all those little white fellas. Hey, the little white fella who shot up Florida State today, his mom, deputy in Leon County, Florida. Like that. Anyway, I think, according to reports, little fella, Phoenix Ickner, as his name, I think he's a little suspected race soldier, shooting up the Seminole campus today in Tallahassee. Anyway, but that's what Adolescence, the Netflix series, is about. Elon Musk was mad, saying, out here, being anti-white, got all this anti-white bias, make it seem like young white boys just evil spawn going out to shoot and kill and pillage. That's what he was upset about, was Adolescence, which prompted a discussion. I barely heard of it at the time, but had seen a few ads. One of the actors, black male, tends to be in films that cast him in roles about black gangland activity, drugs, gun crime, etc. Negro experience. I assumed the plot of Adolescence was the same. Oh no. I also had picked up on the racism surrounding the series at the time. Right-wing Ashley, Shelley, and Zoe were raving about how good it was and that they were gripped. Commented that the black male had said he initially didn't want to take part because of the stereotyping. They recommended I watch it. I had a sense of deja vu. It brought me back to Jeffrey Dahmer's greatest fangirl, getting excited as she told me she binge-watched the Dahmer Netflix series. It also confirmed to me that right-wing Ashley was practicing racism when she randomly started talking about Lionel Richie at the Christmas lunch. The discussion then moved on from Adolescence to Jay-Z. The case made by the racist suspect female who accused him of raping her as a child. What in the world? Like, what is... Why are we at this hotel again? Like, what? We came out here to talk about raping Jay-Z and Adolescence. I mean... my head hurts. Like, come on. And this, they want us to travel like 200 miles and such for some of these. We got to go across the continent to go and hang out. And you think, oh, Jigga been doing all that raping? That's what we came on. We could have sat on Zoom and did all this for real. Matter of fact, we could have sat on Zoom and just watched Adolescence together. Jay-Z raping black dudes. Yes. Raped her as a child. Had case dismissed by the court because of inconsistencies. Lies. Yet Zoe, a white woman who outwardly looks the least likely person in the world to even know who the hell Jay-Z is, said she's convinced he's going down. That ain't quotes. What, like, why did we came here to talk about Jay-Z's criminal culpability? Like, that's what we had to have an away day for? Man. Are we going to spend time on Jeffrey Epstein, too? Everybody that's got criminal charges pending of a sexual nature, we get Jeffrey Epstein time in here. Prince Andrew, we can give him some time. Come on. Shelley responded, do you think? Zoe, for sure. I remember joining a call for our team meeting. Zoe and another racist suspected female were on the line, waiting for people to join in. They were discussing Nicki Minaj, but quickly changed the subject when I joined the call. I'm guessing they were not saying anything positive about Nicki Minaj. This happened last year, and I've side-eyed Zoe ever since. They just bring up like black entertainers. It's the same. They have lots of reports and even some books talking about white people and their use of black people for like memes and GIFs on social media to express whatever their thoughts are. These are the same people that don't want to hang out with black people, tell racist jokes all day, but then they use lots of black people in their memes to express themselves on social media, and saying that that too is a form of almost minstrelsy and racism in the cyber realm. This kind of strikes me as the same thing, where we don't even like the black people that we work with and are rude and racist to them all the time. Then we get together to talk about non-work related things, and it's to mock black people, mock black entertainers. Like, we don't even think of black. That's kind of what we think of black people. Nicki Minaj, Jay-Z, Lionel Richie, like maybe they can sing some songs, some sexual activity, but other than that, not to be taken seriously. Do some twerking, that sort of thing, but not to be taken seriously, and maybe even a little bit annoying. Jay-Z. And then look at it. This discussion moved on from Jay-Z. Diddy. I was getting irritated. Real talk, like, why did we come here? Like, time and energy is important. Like, for real, we just came here to talk about all these Negro entertainers that you all think should be in jail? Come on, man. I was getting irritated but kept my composure. Bravo, bravo, bravo. None of these women are that interested in black people or black music and entertainment. They were practicing racism at my expense, but in a very refined way. So they don't do this at the construction. They say, did you see that nigger Puffy been out there raping? I told you they should have castrated him a long time ago. Then I said, I've been saying that for years. Ain't I been saying? They would have just been, I feigned interest in the discussion, then started talking about the deviants in Hollywood. I talked about the singer Liam Payne, who recently jumped off a hotel balcony due to drinking and drugs, racist suspect Justin Bieber, a few other white deviants, and the dangers of children being in the industry unprotected. This changed the direction of the discussion, and they pretended to be in agreement. Everyone knew what time it was, and it was all very friendly. See, that's all it takes. One name. Wasn't Jeffrey Epstein? They're gonna get. Let's get back. We got important things to discuss. We wasted enough time now. I've seen this in the workplace in other instances where the white people were there, and they will just bring up random Negro criminality. Say, R. Kelly got denied a new trial. You're going to have to serve out that sentence, And it's not like the black person that they're talking to, they didn't have a, Step in the Name of Love t-shirt on. They didn't have no Chocolate Factory paraphernalia up or nothing. They're not an R. Kelly fan. Never said nothing about R. Kelly. And they're sitting like, what? What? Why are you telling me about R. Kelly? And they said once they caught on that, and so they would come up and just whatever the Negro crime of the day is, that they started switching. Hey, it's almost April 19. That's old Tim McVeigh. He blew up all them children and people, and the whole building is a disgrace. And he said, well, they did that one time. We didn't have no more Negro criminal day. White people are not ignorant about racism. Let's see. Finally, right-wing Ashley is very happy with the way I'm giving her feedback in her one-to-one meetings. I was given his feedback by Shawn at my performance appraisal this week. Another time this week where I had to keep my composure. I realized right-wing Ashley thinks she's put me in my place because the smiley faces and love hearts are back in her emails and team messages. I realized that me giving her feedback is helping her improve her skills, and I'm not trying to help her progress. She can now do the things I need her to do, and she understands that I will not be doing her work for her. So that's all I need from her. The smiley faces and love hearts might also be back because of exceptional performance. Bonus payments have been reintroduced after being put on pause for a few months. I really want to poke her in her eyes, but I can't. I will not be nominating her for anything. A person who is on a performance improvement plan and who everyone agrees should never have been appointed at the grade she's in cannot be an exceptional performer. P.S. Unless she's white. If she's white, maybe. If we got a competent Negro and there's no count white person that we shouldn't have hired, we don't really like Lakeisha that much. Let me give it to the white woman. That's about the size of it. Let's see. If she steps out of line, I will address it, but she's doing what's expected of her, which is all I need. And the good thing is, everything I've done to address right-wing Ashley's crappy performance and insolence has been discussed and agreed with Shauna and Zoe in advance. That is always spectacular to get them to that. See, that right there, where she said that it's like an agreed upon thing that everyone knows. We messed that one up. Like, she is way in over her head, as they say. She is not skilled for this position at all. That is an indictment of who was the hiring team. Who sat there like, yes, this is the ideal candidate. Like, oh yeah, she is heads and shoulders above everybody else. She is going to be an invaluable asset to this company. Like, what? Who was on that hiring group? Like, y'all can't, nope, new group, y'all can never be together again. It can never be this exact grouping of people because you all do a horrible job. Like, we probably missed out on some really good candidates for you. Matter of fact, anybody here related to her? You went to school with her? Y'all sorority sisters, something? Like, come on. Like, man, and would you get a black person? Can you imagine? Do you all know any black person that you worked with where it's like a universally agreed upon thing, and you yourself too? Wow. Willie is not the sharpest knife in the drawer. I don't know how Willie got this job, but wow. He better hope he never gets fired. Like, do y'all know a Willie? Because I don't. I do not at all. I know quite a few white Willies. Wilhelminas. Oh, yeah. How did she get this job? How did he get this job? System of white supremacy. But a black person? I mean, that's like, what? An underqualified black person? I would have to, some might say, you, Gus T, underqualified. Okay. Other than Gus T. No, I don't know of that. Non-Clemson dad is valedictorian. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I've seen consistently. Maybe not valedictorian, but I mean, not unqualified folks. Much obliged. Let's see. The email again, untiljustice@gmail.com. The number, 605-313-5164. The code, 564-943 pound. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. Composure has come up a lot today. Different reasons, having to be in these meetings where they're talking about all this goofiness and raping Diddy and all the rest of it. For the composure component, anybody that struggles with that or tips, I'm a big advocate of keeping it simple. Drink water. It's getting warmer, at least for those of us in the northern hemisphere. It's getting warmer. It's heading towards summer. Need to drink water anyway. That works against racism, white supremacy. Put that soda and coffee and all that down. But also for the work environment, just you drinking water, you're going to have to go to the bathroom. Any of these types of situations pop up. Somebody, hey, Willie, you done dirtied up the machine, ain't you? I knew that Diddy been out there raping. He should have been locked up a long time ago. I said that, and I've been saying that for you. Because you are hydrated, you can always, just beg pardon, I need to run to the lavatory right quick. Give me 5 minutes. You got your water bottle right there. No big deal. They get 5 minutes to tell a few racist jokes while you're gone. Win-win. You take that 5 minutes. You didn't need to tinkle. You need 5 minutes. Breathe. Think about Mr. Fuller. Think about your grandma, grandpa, children. Find your little calm space, codified space. These racist wenches, they are not going to pluck my nerves today. Sit up here and listen and talk about Diddy. These raping black dudes, Nicki Minaj, Lord. Dr. Wellesley. You take a few moments, and you can even take that time, get another sip of water. That will bring your heart rate down a little bit. You wash your hands, put a little water on your face. Return to the meeting. Now, maybe you missed, good 5 minutes of the Diddy raping conversation there. Maybe we moved on to workplace. Hey, that works out beautiful. But at minimum, we got our 5. Recenter, refocus, maybe even think of a way we can do some compensatory conversation control. Change the conversation. Same thing I said, but let's talk about something else. Let's talk about something else. You heard any updates on Jeffrey Epstein? Or we can even get to, why we had this away day in the first place. We can't have had this so-called away day, just sit around and talk about all the raping rappers and R&B singers like that. I mean, is that why they have away days? Come on. And Lionel Richie. Like, come on. Shout to Lionel Richie. The number 605-313-5164. The code 564943 pound. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. Incidentally, I did post, they had a report this week talking about they said they did a study where black people allegedly are most likely, more than other so-called racial groups, to display their religious faith in the workplace. I'm not sure if that's true or not. I do know white people have done a tremendous job conditioning many, many black people with the religion of white supremacy and white Jesus and all the accoutrements around that. And in fact, I have even heard some black people for specific jobs like NCAA sports, professional sports, where public displays of Christianity might be beneficial for the job. It might endear you, what do they call it, some brownie points with the people that do the hiring for professional sports. I've heard that frequent for many, many years. Even some black people have written that who played professional sports, that seemed like something that might endear you. You go into practice and you got your Bible and you talking about going to Bible study after practice or going to church on Sunday with your mom. Like, all right, coach loves to hear that. For other jobs, I have never heard, hey, you going to that Fortune 500 meeting, got that Bible tucked underneath your suit, boy. That's really, I have not heard that. Maybe that might have been the case at a certain point or in certain locations, but I would say generally speaking, I don't think so. I would not be going into a work environment looking to show off your dedication to the Christian faith with other white people or non-white people, unless it's a company that they are explicitly, this is a religious organization. This is a part of the job. If that's the case, like, oh, okay. But if it's just a regular secular employment, I would not be looking amongst your employees. These are people I'm looking to go to church with or see if I can do some fishing. They can go to church with me, or maybe we can have Bible study after work. Like, what? And certainly the same thing they said in this environment. Like, oh my God, like I would not recommend that at all. That should be your personal time. You do that for you. Same way I say I wouldn't talk about racism at work. I certainly would not be talking about your religious faith at work. Like, man, that just sounds like all kinds of recipe for disaster with other white people or other non-white people. So I would not encourage that at all. I did see that report this week. I don't know if that's true or not, but just something to be mindful of in terms of expression of religious views. Again, the religion on this here planet, the religion of white supremacy. We'll give folks, let's see, about 5 or so, see if they have other comments, other emails. They had lots of emails today. It's crazy. Oh, we're not crazy. Constructive. Untiljustice@gmail.com. Other folks have thoughts. But we'll give folks about 5 if they have other calls, thoughts, observations to share. Again, if we have educators, are you feeling the same sort of pressure that we heard about in the opening in terms of what you can say in the classroom, what you can teach, or even what sort of decor you can have on the walls, your desk? I would not want to be a history teacher, especially of U.S. history at this time period. Like everything would just, the text says, that would be my line to say over and over, that, and then let's change the subject. Ask your parents. Those are people. Ask your parents. The text says, let's change the subject. But if we have educators, man, let us know how you all are navigating all that. I'd be counting down days to retirement, to be truthful, because, I mean, it just seems, wow, we're not going to have no more Department of Education, no Head Start. Like, oh, my goodness, are we going to have chalk? Are we going to have computers that still got desks? Like, my goodness. If we have other folks who've been impacted by the federal job cuts, let us know in turn, even just the chaos and confusion of all of this in terms of so much anxiety and people not knowing, even if it's the patrons, right? If you work, you have to serve the public, and folks are coming in nasty and snarling at you and upset about all the rest. Like, oh man, whew. My condolences. Breathe, but let us know if you're, being impacted by all of the changes and chaos that has been unleashed. You put the date on it since the inauguration day, January 20, 2025. Like, let us know how you are managing all that. I'm not sure if we've heard from educators specifically in the midst of all this, but I would definitely be curious to get more details on what that environment is like, especially for black people and then non-white people in total, trying not to get fired en route to handing out grades, I guess. Anyhoodles, we'll be here Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. 5th installment, Abraham Bolden's The Echo from Dealey Plaza. Workplace racism all throughout the text. Working with racists, being sabotaged by racists, white people that you work with lying on you, falsely accusing you, all of it right there. More to come. Mr. Bolden's text. And then we'll be here for Saturday, compensatory call-in, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. We'll catch up on news from the past 7 days. Probably have to have a tidbit about the school shooting in Tallahassee, FSU. That was just hours ago, so I can't really give updates and all that. Are just FSU. They have pictures of it. And the one thing that they did say when they went to do the identification, who did this? Phoenix Ickner, alleged shooter, alleged child of Leon County Deputy Sheriff Ickner. What? And that's his mama, by the way. What? And oh, wait a minute. And they said he got his mama's gun to go out and do this shooting. Phoenix Ickner. We'll talk about that Saturday. That's why I said, like, how I'm going to be a teacher. Now, they asked me about this. This shooting happened on April 17. Columbine is April 20. McVeigh Day is April 19. And I'm supposed to say, talk to your parents. Let's change the subject. Like, wee, you ain't gonna DEI me. Get on out here. Let's see. Our caller at the courthouse in Florida, if you have commentary. Now, he is in North Florida. Tallahassee, Florida is a little bit further south. Did the Florida State shooting, did that come up at the courthouse today? Did y'all have the TV and seeing old Phoenix Ickard and set everything ablaze down there in Tallahassee? Did that come up, or is that too far South Florida?
Yes, sir. That did come up today on the job. I heard some people speaking about it because people, of course, like to wear the team shirts, FSU and Florida Gators. The white woman manager had mentioned this today, and it was in the middle of us having a computer difficulty, I guess, with all of the technology. Gus, like all of the machines just totally just had to be shut down. The white people were flustered, like flabbergasted, I guess. And they just couldn't get the internet back. We couldn't help the customers. So it was just people doing a lot of talking. I just pulled my journal out and I was doing some writing. But yes, sir, the FSU shooting did come up. Some people said that they knew of someone trying to drive up to Tallahassee to pick up their children or, their young daughters and sons. I had heard about it around the afternoon time today, and I was wondering if the person was classified as white, and then I did notice that name, Phoenix Ignorant, yes, sir. But I noticed that the white people, the racist suspects, the white women, they tried to they try not to get into the identity part, like what is his I guess picture look like or anything. They just said that his parent was working with the sheriff department, and I was wondering, I'm like, man, I wonder if this someone who's a white person, and I can tell they was practicing white supremacist code. And just to add to this computer issue we had today, a white man, we was both coming inside the back door, and he had the cell phone to his ear because they were trying to solve this issue so we can get back online. And he just said, he said the phrase, "Today is going to be the day I'm not going to follow the rules. I'm going to break the rules." And he wasn't really like talking to anybody, really. He just kind of just said that out in the open. And he said to another black person that, well, this issue was beyond me about these computers, because he's the person that does the tech stuff or whatever. And I don't know if it's anything like hackers or anything someone mentioned, but I don't know if anyone has something like this happen in the workplace, because I know a lot of the times, I guess we are dependent or reliant on the technology, computers, and things like that. But that really caused a major disruption today in regards of the courthouse. Like, people couldn't come in and do the traffic tickets, the file motions for the court, get copies. Like, we couldn't do hardly any of that. But I was able to still kind of do some other jobs. But I wanted to also share some other things with the white supremacist, I call her. She made this comment, I guess, in response to the black female who was speaking about those white people in the bleachers, saying that her son didn't look like a teenager, and the white woman just wasn't into listening to it. And it's a major contrast in how they talk about, of course, other black people or something else that's on social media. I usually don't really even talk to any of them. So the black female, is about to resign, and she's going to be going to work somewhere else. So she made the comment, well, y'all ain't going to be seeing me anymore pretty soon, so I won't be coming in here. And the white woman said, oh, well, you don't have to say it like that. You don't have to say it like that. And she was like, what? I'm not going to be here. And then it's at 5 p.m. So, we get up and we get out of the courthouse. The racist, the white woman, she said, oh, well, and he's going to be tired of seeing your face too. He's going to get tired of seeing your face. So I turned around and looked at the black person and I said 14 years, and I think that was kind of like unorthodox because they thought that I was going to say something to slander the black person or to get me and her to be arguing. I think that was an act of racism. I said, I'm about to make 14 years. So I think she was projecting onto me, her racism, that she just can't stand the black person. Like, she hate her guts, I think. You know what I mean? Like, not to use a metaphor, but she tried to say that I'm going to get tired of seeing her. Like, I don't talk to any of them. She, I think, in my opinion, she just want to mistreat the black female, but they claim that they are so-called friends with each other or associates. So I just kept walking after she said that. If I can share another incident where, I don't know if this happens too at anyone else's workplace, where someone, it can be white or non-white, but they'll ask you, now I'm asking the person, how can I help you? Or can I help you? Some kind of question. And then they'll respond looking at me and saying, do you work here? Like, I was like, I said, of course. I said, yes, sir, yes, ma'am. I do work here. And then I asked again, like, can I help you? Like, oh, well, can you help? I need a copy of my final judgment. But I noticed that has happened to me sometimes through the years. I would say it's infrequent, like it don't happen all of the time. But I've experienced that as well, where someone will ask you that, because the area where we work at, it's different. It's not necessarily like a counter for customer service. It's a place where people can make copies or sit at a computer. But, I was just wanting to add that to my report this evening. And there's another one I wanted to share, Gus, where the racist clique, I think, are against a black female supervisor. The supervisor in civil. So they tend to want to meet up a lot of the times after we walk out. Now, while inside, they don't really converse too much with each other, at least not in this mass. Like, I think they were more unified. Like when we walk out of the door a lot of the time, and the supervisor usually stays behind. So I seen like 5 or 6, maybe 7. Everyone's white, and they're walking in this big group, and I can just imagine that they are doing the unjust networking about this black female. And I also want to add the white guy who won the discrimination lawsuit. He tries to speak and say, hey, how's it going and everything, and I just say, I just wave and just keep going. But maybe he may know that I might know about that trial that happened. And other than that, that's all I have to share. Thanks for allowing me to speak.
Much obliged. Caller at the courthouse. He just told us last week, he said that they were trying to make space and they were getting rid of the hard copy files. And he said, oh man, the computers, they mess up sometimes, and you get old gremlin or whatever and mess things up, and then we don't have the hard copies to fall back. But they said, it's a space thing. We got to get them out here for the space. And and then bang, not even barely a week later, computers went out, messed everything. I'm like, dang, that is, if they go back and hear the archive, like he talked that, and that old Negro magic cult Negro went in there and mixed up something. Matter of fact, he probably broke the computer. He came in and did it on purpose. It's his fault. Like, man, let's see, when he mentioned about talking about racism, too, about the way that they spoke about our son, because I said that earlier in the broadcast that, hey, that can't be sympathizing, talking about racism on the job. That's not something to share, and not to be talking about our personal lives in the workplace, even with other victims of racism, because you just can't, you shouldn't be thinking that that's my homie and friend and all that. Share that at home. Do not treat the workplace as though this is a social environment for you to hang out and you're amongst friends, and it is not. These are just people that you work with. Let's see. All of it, see there, it does not get any better than tacky. Now, the young lady comes in and she's transferring or whatever. Right on, good luck, stay hydrated, drink a lot of water. Summertime in Florida can be rough, and, God bless. Oh, no. Oh, no. Why, you ain't have to say it like that. What are you talking about? I'm not going to be here anymore. Like, what? Well, I bet he ain't going to see your face no more either. He tired of seeing you. Like, what in the world? What in the world? It does not get any better than tacky. That's what Dr. Welsing said, projection. Put that on and say, oh, yeah, he tired of seeing your old wretched face. I heard him say it, too. That's what you think about it. Seems like it's so much of that. Like when he mentioned the black female, she was listening to the radio, and he said this is her white friend came. I said, you being like a little white girl, aren't you? What are you doing listening to that? Like, what? Listening to white music. I said, you listening to white people's music. What's wrong with you? Like, what? What? Why would you? Lots of that where they'll come by and make these sort of racist, demeaning comments to other black people in the workplace. And I mean, really, in this situation, if you and I agree, she despises this black person, especially if, this is a younger black person, attractive, competent, I hate her guts. I hate her guts. She's leaving. You won. You won't even have to see her face no more. You won. It can be good riddance. Woo! Oh no, I hate seeing your face. What? What? What does it mean to be white? What is even motivating that behavior? Because I couldn't imagine saying something like that in a work environment. Even joking, like even if we were super duper 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 friends, and you're, transferring or whatever. Oh my, Leroy, I mean, he cannot stand the sight of you, man. He throws up a little bit every time you walk through the door. I couldn't imagine saying something like that. Somebody's leaving. It was great working with you. Have a blessed day. Now I can be thinking that, woo, I'm so glad that coon is leaving. Woo, it's watermelon day. Woo, but I won. You gone. What is all that for? What does it mean to be white? And you heard the same thing. I had mentioned that before. Now, the young lady who wrote in, and she was telling us they had the away day. We're not even at work. We're going to sit around, take all this time to talk about No Count R. Kelly and Diddy, Nicki Minaj. Aren't they scoundrels? Worthless, all of them. Except Lionel Richie. We love some Lionel Richie. Now, he said when the shooting came up, but apologies for my niggardly Florida state geography. Tallahassee is not south of our caller in North Florida. It is hard west. I guess you can forgive because Florida is about 3,000 miles from Seattle. It's been a long time since I have been to the state of Florida, pre-COVID times. But Tallahassee is far west, even the Panhandle, like Tallahassee. I wasn't even thinking that Tallahassee is close to like Alabama. Like, dang. Anyway, but he said when all this came up in the workplace, they didn't say nothing about, is that a young white boy who did? Oh, Lord, it didn't happen again. They didn't, They said it was, oh, wow, it was the son of the deputy. I can't believe that. They didn't win it. This close to Columbine, too. But they didn't want to talk about who did this and what it, I don't think that would have been the case if it had been somebody looked like Carmelo Anthony, either one. I don't think that would have been the case. I think it would have been quite, especially if it had been Carmelo Anthony and Carmelo's dad or mom was a law enforcement officer, and Carmelo got their parents' gun to go out and shoot up the Seminole campus. What? Come on. Come on. Let me find out this little fella had some sort of manifesto or whatever. Anyway, he said he noted the folks, they come and ask, do you actually work here? He said it doesn't happen every day, but he's got enough of them. Like, yes, I do work here. They don't just let any Negro back here. Like, yes, I am actually employed here. Man, a system of white civility. Like, you're supposed to be the janitor, have a mop or plunger or something, go clean the toilet. Like, we don't let you handle no serious document. We do passports, man. You got to have a real ID and everything to fly. Like, it's a serious job. We don't let no nigger boy get back here and do the passport photos, and I might need a deed or a record. And what is, which is pretty much the same sentiment he said, and he saw the gang of white folks, and he said, I know that's the clique right there. Up to no good, practicing racism, unjust networking, all of the above. I know this. Look at the behavior, and then when do they get quiet? Which is the same thing. That's what the young lady said when she wrote it. She said they were talking about Nicki Minaj, and they were over there getting, she thinking over there, and I told you about them colorful, and she walked in and said, oh, and Nicki's, hey, how you doing? Good to see you. Your hair looks so nice. Were y'all talking about Nicki Minaj? Oh, no, we were just wasting time till we got it. We ready for the meeting now? You ready? Okay, we can get started. Like, what were they talking about Nicki Minaj for? Like, what? And then, shh. Can't be ignorant about white supremacy, racism, and do, but it's the same clique behavior. But you can't be ignorant about white supremacy, racism, and engage in any of that. Even the do you work here? Because, I mean, why would a white person ask another white person that? Like, do you work here? Really? I would even have to think, like, it would have to be, maybe you don't have any shoes on, you don't have a shirt on, I don't know, something like that. Look like maybe you got prison fatigues on, like maybe you got a shackle on your wrist or something. Like, what? I couldn't imagine them saying that to a white person. Like, come on. Anyway, let's see. He said the fellow, he probably does not know, because it's been my experience, white people generally think that black people are pretty stupid. So the white fellow that won the discrimination suit, I suspect that he does not know that you are aware of this. So, yeah, he's just coming by being race soldier dude, with it too, all the rest of it. But that would be my suspicion, unless you figure out something that, to the contrary. Any hoodles. I just making sure I say again, it might sound callous, and it's all victims guaranteed qualified. So if you have a different viewpoint, for sure. And we have lots of folks who seem very empathetic to other black people in the workplace, even all the folks who participated today. But that situation that he talked about and referenced again today, you have a black person that comes to you public, like, in front of other white people, even in front of other non-white people, and they're kind of encouraging you to talk with them about, provoking you to talk with them publicly about racism. I would not do it. That's sad. Back to work. Now, if you do have rapport and you want to engage with them, I would start That is so sad what happened to your child. Do not bring that up in the workplace. What is wrong with you? Like, man, I don't even trust these other black people that we work with. They'll be ready to go and snitch on both of us and get us both fired. What is wrong with you? I'm supposed to say in front of everything, yeah, these crackers or something. Like, come on. Come on. Now, come to the house. We'll have smoothies and we'll talk about this. Bring your child. And yes, that is horrible. And these crackers are the worst, man. I've been saying that. But you can't be saying that in front of everybody. That's exactly what I would say. Like, what in the world? Even in front of other black people. That is written not advisable. You have lots of non-white people who will say, I do not agree. There is not a system of white supremacy racism, and they'll be ready to fight you for saying that it is. Or at least argue with you for a good 2 weeks. And you certainly got race soldiers. So, it might sound callous, but it's just, planning. If you don't have a rapport with that person, that could even be risky. I mean, did that happen? Are they lying? Are they trying to set you up? Is this their task from white people to see if they can get you to, say, yeah, these crackers ain't nothing I told. Like, anyway, no talking about racism out in public, in the workplace. You can talk about justice, but I would not, and no talking about your personal. I can't, it seems like they have so much of that at the courthouse, which is just staggering. Black people talking about all kinds of things happening. They're discussed with their children's, the father of their children, or talking about different problems that they're having with their offspring and with their, sexual partner and such. Like all, even if you work with all people who are classified as black, that is horrible conduct for the workplace. And in my opinion, it just demonstrates a total lack of codification. You are not, this is not the environment to just be running off at the mouth and blah, 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 much less running off at the mouth about personal matters. Are you serious? That's like the worst of the worst. These are people that you're going to be competing with for promotions, bonuses, and all the rest of it. And you got racists here. All of the, what they say, all skin folk ain't kinfolk. Ain't that what they say? Come on, you cannot just be out sharing all of the drama and problems and such that you're having, thinking that you're going to have a sympathetic shoulder to lean on. And even if you do, you cannot think everyone else who is listening, spectating, if you will, to this conversation, you can't think that they're sympathetic too. That's not logical. In my opinion, that just shows a total lack of codification. You really want to be so precise when you open your mouth in the workplace to say anything. And so much of what motivates the thought and care about what words you choose in the workplace is because, man, words are important. And I know lots of white people in particular are listening to what I'm going to say. I got to be really careful. Really careful. I got to think before I speak. Doing more of that. Why am I talking about my personal business around people who do not have my best interest at heart? But that's I cannot, because we hear that all the time from, white people do it. That's a whole different dynamic. But for non-white people, no. It's the same logic about not decorating the office and all that. You're not paid. You're not here to talk about your political views, personal experiences, what's wrong with your child, how they're doing in school. None of that. Let's just focus on the job. You got enough problems right there. Same logic we talked about, I think, a couple of weeks ago. Not having your attempted care mate, attempted spouse coming into the workplace. Same logic, really exactly the same. You got all these races. Oh, who is this? Oh, how long? And it's saying, boom, they running those questions and boom. Well, we were just trying to go to lunch. Dang, back up. Let's go. Meet them outside and let's get out of here. Nosy racists. Oh man, they will question and a question and a snooping and a prying. Don't need. We started that with the audio clip, man. It said Brother Elon and got in there and got all the private information and downloading and sharing. That's what race soldiers do. We don't want to be helping them out, giving them extra like, oh man, you didn't even have this one. Let me get this too. New folder. What now? What happened at the, oh wow, they did this. What's your son's name? Oh, okay. What school does he go to? Come on. What sports does he play? Be codified in the workplace. This is certainly one environment. You do not want to be no chatty Cathy, chatty Kenny. Not in this loquacious Lenny. How about loquacious Leroy? Yeah, you do. You don't want none of those titles on your job. And even if you work with all non-white people, it would be the same. Just do your job. If it's going to be talking, you should be asking more questions than making statements. You can be the one doing the prying as opposed to, I got to be up here an open book and just let me tell you about my whole life. Nah. Not for the workplace. Let's see. Any folks that we missed? Let's see. Our caller at 4557. Did you have commentary?
Yes, Gus. Good evening. How are you?
Right poorly.
Well, I got a couple of things I want to add to the discussion. You kind of touched on them. It's a book by a white man called The Religion of White Supremacy in the United States, Religion and Race. The author's name is Eric Weed. Eric Weed. Now, I don't know if you ever noticed about some of these authors how their last name pretty much tells you a lot about their ideology and everything. His last name is Eric Weed. He writes in this book, the Washington Redskins have a tradition of singing "Hail to the Redskins" throughout the games played in Washington, D.C. Hail to the Redskins was written in 1938. Barney Breeskin wrote the tune for the song, and he made it reminiscent of Jesus Loves Me. The fight song includes lines like "Fight for Old Dixie," "Scalp 'em," "Swamp 'em." The lyrics would subsequently be changed in the 1960s, yet the line "Braves on the warpath" remained from the original version. The history of Hail to the Redskin is not surprisingly based on the early history of the team. Before the creation of the Dallas Cowboys, the Washington Redskins were the only professional team in the southern states. They held a monopoly within the professional football leagues on their connection to the South. Drop the mic there. That's it. Yeah, so I just want to get your commentary on that, and this is very...
Oh, okay. Well, I guess my commentary, twofold. One, although that is pertinent reading, more important than watching television, for sure. The Redskins franchise is pretty old, and they had been grousing and complaining about that name change for eons before Magic Johnson got there. So we here at the Cows, having been here for 16 years, had talked about all of that, even the geography about the location of the team, with Dave Zirin in 2010, January. Jane Elliott was on that same program. She gets 2 mentions for today. But admitted racist Jane Elliott was on that program where we talked about that. And then we talked about that in detail. The Washington Reds, oh, there it is, Showdown, Thomas H. Smith. Have the book on my shelf. Showdown, JFK and the Integration of the Washington Redskins, where he talks about that. And certainly for this broadcast, how would I not know? Fight for Old DC used to be Fight for Old Dixie. How would I not know that as many times as we play Dixie? So pick that microphone back up. All of that. None of that is new information. I even think the book, I have to look to see, but other than the book title, all of that has been shared here before. That would be thought one, or thought two. I have no idea what any of that has to do with workplace racism. That was my I was waiting for this is neutralizing workplace racism. What is this, or how is this related to labor in the workplace, which I didn't hear. Very important. Let's try to stay focused on labor. Book suggestions and that sort of commentary is better for the compensatory call-in on Saturdays. That's more of the open format, shall I say. This is try to be very focused because lots of folks are reluctant to talk about the racism we experience in the workplace. Like, have you experienced any racism on your job?
Of course. I'm
of
retired
course.
now, but when I worked as a dispatcher for AAA, the only reason I brought that up because you did mention the football a little bit earlier, so I was going to wait till Saturday to add that little reading in, but because you had already mentioned football, I said, well, this is new to me because I'm kind of new to the Cows, so I never knew that the Redskins was really considered a Southern team, being they're in the North, would you consider the North? So that was new to me, and I thought that was kind of really interesting. And plus, you did mention Jesus and the fact that the song is based upon Jesus to a degree. But as when I was a dispatcher for AAA, one of my coworkers, we were just in the lunchroom having lunch, and he just up and said, "Yeah, nigger." I'm like, whoa. Like, first of all, it threw me aback because I didn't know, should I jump on this guy, lose my job, get him fired, and cause extra work for me because he was actually, he was there a little bit longer than I was. So, but I had to be strategic here, and I just basically had to say to him, hey, that's not cool. Don't say that, especially in my presence. I don't know why you felt I made you comfortable enough where you could think you could just say that and I would accept it. But don't do that again.
Didn't jump on him. I love it. That composure, once again, is super important, and being strategic in the workplace. That right there is why I say it's so important, why I really try to make sure that we stay focused, because that is so critical. And in my view, there's a lack of attention on this specifically in terms of being strategic with some counter-racist codification in the workplace, so that we don't jump on them. Carmelo Anthony, so that we, in terms of how we respond when white supremacy racism is practiced against us, which invariably it will be. Jumping on top of a white person might not always be the best solution. You really have to try and think things out and, plot how I'm going to get to retire. Like, if you had jumped on him, maybe you don't get to retirement. Maybe you do. You can say self-defense. Maybe you don't. Much correct. Obliged. I'm sorry?
I said correct. You're correct. So it took some real restraint there for me to, hey, I lose my job. Is he really worth it? Then, like I said, if I would have got him fired, then that's going to be extra work on me because I'm going to have to, take his load. So, but he eventually ended up getting in a motorcycle wreck and ended up having to quit on his own because he was in pretty terrible motorcycle accidents, which is kind of, I guess, karma, you could say.
White Jesus works in mysterious ways, they say. Well, with that, much obliged. I guess, do you want to give the book title again, sir? Reading more important than watching television.
The book title is The Religion of White Supremacy in the United States by Eric Weed.
I see.
He is white, and it's actually a great book. And like I said, his last name is Weed, so I guess it should be a great read.
Wacky.
Whether you take weed as the smoking or weed as just a nuisance plant, in the garden.
Wacky. Well, I guess you can let us know, give us an update on the text as you read if you think it is constructive, and then you can share the other black people that get to retirement. I think I told retired firefighter the same thing. Like, man, if you're a black person and you get to retirement, especially if you avoided jumping on a white person here and there along the way, like, maybe you can write a memoir, or vlog, something about your experience with racism on your job, how you got to retirement, maybe some nuggets that would help out other black people in your field, or even black people in general, that would help them avoid jumping on a racist and help them get to retirement. If you have any strategies that this one worked well, that might be something you can think about in your retirement years to pass on some of that wisdom that you've gathered over the years to share.
That is a good idea. But I also I had contacted you once before as well, and I'm still waiting to hear back from my library about that book, In Silence.
Oh yeah.
They still are, haven't gotten it in yet. They're saying, it's on
any day now.
Once it gets in, we'll be sure to let you know. And it's been like 2-3 months now, and I'm still waiting.
Any day now. We got it in the hopper. Just, be patient. It's any day now. Yeah. Follow up. Just keep doing what you're doing. Follow up. We'll see how long. That'll be a part of the counter-racist experiment. Now, does it take 5 years for them to get the book? A year, 6 months? All part of the experiment to see the In Silence or Indifference, all about racism, white supremacy, and why black people don't read. We're not trying to give that book now. You want to read about LGBTQ or, how cool Bill Clinton is? We got tons of books about that. In Silence or, we don't. Love it. Woo. Well, did we miss anybody else? Anything else to share?
No, sir. I just enjoy your show. You have me cracking up a lot of the times when you go into your voice. You just have me cracking up a lot of times. But I enjoy your show. You're very informative. I enjoy getting the reading materials that you do bring up. And, I'm just, like I said, I'm not a long-time listener. I probably only about, the past couple of months that I ran across you. And, I was able to see you on YouTube, and that's what really, And I was trying to get a hold of the interview you did with Joseph Gibson about the Rainbow Book. I can't find that particular interview that you did.
It's, I think 2012. I have to go back to look, but I think it's circa 2012. White people have been very disruptive with the archives over our 16 years of broadcasting. So a number of our programs are not there out of our 2,000 plus, but I will go back and double check and see if it's there, not there. If it's not, I have to re-upload programs. So there are a number of broadcasts I have to go back and re-upload and all the rest of it. But once I get it done, I will make sure to share and say something about it on the broadcast so that you will be alerted that Mr. Gibson's broadcast, Trapped in Rainbows, is back. LGBTQ again.
Yep. I tell you. All right, Gus. Well, thank you very much for taking my call.
For sure. Reading more important than watching television. I said that before. Like somebody said they were talking about books to read from the cows. Like, man, I'm trying to figure out something. It's like there is no way you can listen to the cows and not have books to read. Like, not even beyond the book club. Like, there's no way you can be paying attention and you don't hear no books to check out at the cows. Anyway, 16 again. What have we been doing for our 16 years? Well, we did talk about the Redskins a few times. Well, I'm not changing the name of the team, not until the system of white supremacy has been replaced. But we did have the author Thomas G. Smith, his book Showdown, JFK, our book tomorrow, but JFK and the integration of the Washington Redskins. They do have lots of great information about the song Dixie and all of that. They were playing on I think it was a federal land grant at the time that the Washington Redskins were playing on, and they had a no nigger policy for the whole time. Talk about workplace racism. They had a no nigger policy for the team. And he even in the book, he talks about some of the first black employees of the Redskins, and they would score a touchdown, and the white racists, fans of the Redskins, so they're supposed to fight for old dicks instead of celebrating that we scored a touchdown. Nigger, get off the field. They would be throwing batteries and everything else. And then they said, oh my God, you have to run at their own stadium. This is not on the road, not in Philadelphia where they, boo Superman and Santa and everybody else. This is right here, nation's capital, walking distance from the White House. The white racist fans are pelting their own Redskins players. Come on. And they got documentaries of this too. I had already even heard that before I got this book. They played that on Thanksgiving. They had a documentary about all that tackiness and had video. It's one thing to read that. They put the video up so you can see the Negro Redskin player run into the end zone, and then they got the frantic, whoa, the debris is Redskins. I say it's Redskins forever. But that was later on. We had Dave Zirin on prior to all of that. He wrote about the same thing in his book. I think that was the first time that I learned that it was not fight for old DC. It was fight for Dixie. And that was a point of bragging. It was very unrefined in bragging about the white supremacy racism of the franchise and all the rest of it. That was part of their mantle for the Redskins forever. I don't care if Magic Johnson becomes the majority owner of the franchise. It is Redskins forever. Well, not forever, until white supremacy racism has been replaced with justice. Not forever. Once we get justice, then yeah, whatever. Magic, hey, you switch the name up and call it whatever you want to. Washington Magicians. They got the Wizards, right? Washington Magicians. That's close to Magic. I love it. I would call them that every day. Get some memorabilia and everything. But until then, Redskins. Any hoodles, we'll be here tomorrow. Catherine Massey Book Club. I just said JFK and the integrate. I'm going to have to go back and look to see. I think JFK did have to get involved to make them hire niggers. Now, if that is true, oh, man. Woo. Add that to the list. You made the Redskins hire niggers? Got Doug Williamson on the team talking about he's going to be MVP. I forgot the name of the young boy that they got on the team now. Quarterback, but this is you? Got all these niggers out here running around on the... Oh, he got to go. He got to go. I think that is it. I just forgotten, but I think he is involved in. Oh my God! Add that to the list. He put Abraham Bolden on the Secret Service. He was going to rescue Patrice Lumumba. He didn't want to bomb the Cubans, non-white people, many of them, and he made the Redskins hire niggers. This nigger lover candidate, you got to go. Oh, and he brought King to the White House. See, it's a lengthy list. Lengthy. I just forgot about that one. Like, it is such a lengthy list. Like, wow. Woo. I'm sorry, sir.
Here, Gus?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. I just want to tell you, I was very upset. I finally got around to watching the movie soundtrack.
Oh, wait a minute. Hang on. This is not movie talk and all that, as I said. This is labor, period. That's why I said we stay focused, because we love to talk about TV. So all that is for Saturday. Anywho.
I'll call back Saturday, because I'm kind of upset with you on that movie, man. That movie hurt me, man.
Well, good. I'm glad. You can tell us about it on Saturday. And shout to Patrice Lumumba, my black brother. Man, wow. One of the best films I've seen in... I got to get my signed poster. Anyway, that's for Saturday, Patrice Lumumba. Much obliged for everyone tuning in. Hopefully, constructive investment of your Thursday evening. We'll be here tomorrow. Catherine Massey Book Club, JFK, Abraham Bolden, the Echo from Dealey Plaza. Cannot wait. Chicago. And then compensatory call-in on Saturday. Sobriety would be best, especially in the workplace. We need high-functioning brain computers. Let's see. Creator. Remind us to invest our time and energy in replacing white supremacy with justice immediately. Help us to not waste our own time and energy or that of other non-white people victims of white supremacy. Stop name-calling black people. Stop gossiping. Stop producing throwaway offspring. Replace white supremacy with justice immediately. Cow signing out. Thanks all for tuning in.
Nigga, you so brainwashed. I'm a victim, brother. No problem. You're a victim. Man, I'm a victim of 400 years of conditioning. Shut up. The man has programmed my conditioning. Even my conditioning has been conditioned.